You want a piece of me, boy?
Nuclear launch detected.
Good evening, bonsoir tout le monde. It's time for the last game, last series of today, the first day. We have Canada against Hungary. I'm here with Zombie Grab and Rotterdam to cast the first games. How are you guys? Still good?
Yeah, still feeling fine. You know, it's been a long-ish day, but this next series might make it a, you know, okay long day because the series could go 4-0 or 4-3 and still be one of the fastest series. We have a lot of aggressive Zergs. We say.
Yeah, so it's funny because Canada have 3 Zergs player and Hungary is 3 Terrans actually.
So better get ready for some good old ZVTs, right? Well, ZVT is everyone's favorite matchup. They always say that this is the best matchup in StarCraft 2. The one true measure of skill. Should be fun, but I agree with what Jess said. There is absolutely a chance that this is going to be relatively short. Maybe not even necessarily because of the score, but just because of how some of these Zergs, I mean, obviously no regret on Team Canada. Very aggressive. He likes to call it designated pressure. We call it all-in. We call it cheesy. And BioEyes is actually a very aggressive Zerg as well. Also a Zerg that makes units in moments of the game where you don't necessarily expect them. But I'm mostly excited to actually see these guys from Hungary. Like, I know the names, but I honestly don't know the faces. I've never really met these guys. I have rarely casted them. I've played more against them than I've casted them. So I'm really curious to see how they'll go up against some of the much more known players from Canada.
Okay, so let's take a closer look at Canada. So we have No Regret, Jig, and BioEyes, so 3 Zergs. And No Regret is the captain of the team. Oh, before. Do you have any fun fact about Canada, Roti?
I've got plenty of fun facts about Canada. I mean, Canada is actually one of my favorite countries in the world. I just love it. It's beautiful there. But did you know that Canada has more lakes than the rest of the world combined? Isn't that crazy?
More what?
Lakes. Like water, a lake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? There are more lakes in Canada than there is in the rest of the world combined.
You know, I don't really think much about lakes, so I'm not gasping, but it's
I think that's pretty remarkable.
It's pretty cool.
It is, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so No Regrets.
Captain. Everyone loved him last year at NationWars. Like, really funny guy. He's got a personality, right? But he's also been the GSL twice now. So, yeah, he absolutely has it in him to 4-0 in very quick fashion. And he's got a pretty good team to round out Team Canada. Jig and BioEyes. BioEyes may be kind of sharing some of the traits play-wise, No Regret. But Jig... I feel like it's his time to shine, even. Like, they could throw him out first and hope to really shock and awe.
Yeah, for me, Jig is absolutely the guy that I'm looking most at this team. Not necessarily because I think he's better than the other two, but I just feel that it's time for Jig to really shine. I feel he's such an underrated player. He's really solid, and he shows it every now and then, but he doesn't play that many tournaments. Sometimes he grinds games like no other, and then suddenly he stops again. Like, I actually want to see Jig play up to his full potential, because I have the feeling that he can really turn some heads in this competition. If he plays his A game, Jig is one of those sleeper players in this tournament that could really do well, even against very well-established names. So not even necessarily Team Hungary, but perhaps against some of the more well-known European players.
Okay, and what about BioEyes?
He likes all in. No. BioEyes is good as well. He's been around for a long time. Also has his ups and downs as a player. Agree with what Jess said. Definitely has some marks that No Regret has as well. He's good. Just a solid member to have on your team. Like, absolutely not a weak link or somebody that you're like, oh, that man is never going to win a map. Like, no, BioEyes is absolutely capable of upsetting as well, but haven't seen that much of him lately. If you would have asked me 2 years ago, I would have really said, like, man, BioEyes is really getting there. And I feel like he's been stagnating for quite some time.
So it's the first NationWars for Jig and BioEyes, actually.
Yeah, I mean, normally it's really hard to get on Team Canada, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Well, Scarlet usually on, didn't actually sign up for voting. And then Semper, unfortunately, wanted to, but I think he had exams, basically.
That's so unfortunate for Canada. But we'll see what they can do. So they will play against Hungary. So there's Wardix, Robiji, and PSZ, who is the captain for Team Hungary.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild team. We can also, of course, take a look at the players of Team Hungary. I believe that our graphic is coming up any moment now. It's a lineup that I look at it, and at first you're like, who? And then it's like, actually, no, I know Robbie G. You know, I play against Robbie G a lot on the ladder. And then it's like, yeah, PSZ, I know as well. Wardix, actually not that much, in all honesty. But yeah, it's obviously remarkable that they're all 3 Terran players.
It's kind of funny how this is going to match up. They're really going to have to show that they're good at TVZ, which fortunately, I feel like most of the time you ask a Terran player from Bronze League to Masters, they're like, and to Pro, obviously, it's like, oh yeah, I got pretty good TVZ, so that's where I really find confidence. So, I mean, maybe this is like a perfect opportunity for them, and it should be really interesting to hear their thoughts about it. And of course, it's definitely their time to prove that Hungary actually has a good StarCraft scene. So.
It's their first participation to NationWars.
Yeah, that's really cool as well. That makes this such a unique opportunity. And Canada is obviously a very tough nation to go up against, but perhaps these Terrans, you know, they can obviously talk with each other. They can share TVZ builds. In Korea, the Terrans are doing quite well, I'd say, against Zerg overall. So I think there might be a tiny bit of upset potential here, but overall, you know, Team Canada is a lot more experienced. They're a lot more well-known. But, you know, guys like Robbie G, guys like PSZ, you see them on the ladder. You know they're putting in the hours. You know they're grinding. They're absolutely capable of putting at least a very good fight up here.
Okay, so we might see some really original games here.
Yeah, there's a good chance. I heard that Robbie is quite crazy.
Anything to add about Hungary?
About the country?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have much, but what I did saw is that Hungary was the first nation behind the Iron Curtain to host a Formula 1 race. Since we were already talking about Formula 1 earlier, and, you know, like, I actually thought that was a fun fact. I was like, wow, I did not know that. And they still have their race every year.
Huh. Okay, thank you for this really interesting fact.
Yeah, what can I say? I mean, us Dutchies right now, we're really bad at football, so I'm shifting my attention towards Formula 1 because we got Max Verstappen, you know, so no, I thought it was fun. But I'm excited to see these boys play.
Okay, amazing. So people have been voting between Canada and Hungary, so let's talk about your predictions.
Right, so I predicted 4-1 for Canada. I mean, I could see it going 4-0, and if the first guy out for Hungary surprises me, then so be it. But I kind of gave them the 1 just because one of the aggressive Zergs could fail. You make Hellenes against no regret, and I think you up your chances of winning, like, substantially.
I don't know. Don't tell that to Natanius.
Yeah, okay, that was a bit of an outlier, wasn't it? Yeah, so I just kind of give one of those a bit of like a failure to launch type thing. But I think otherwise Canada's pretty strong.
Okay, so we have 4-1 for Canada here.
Yeah, I predicted 4-2, and I actually still think that, I mean, this is a hard one to predict. This is a really tough one. Like, I felt very good about my predictions in the other 2 matches. This one, I just don't know. Like, Team Canada is stronger on paper. They've got the experience. They've got, you know, overall the skill, you would say. But guys like Robbie G, like, never underestimate a 6.1, 6.2k MMR European Terran. Like, those guys are legit, man. Like, if you have 6,200 MMR on NA, I think you're like rank 8 Grandmaster League or something. Yeah. So these guys are good, and I can see them maybe take a couple games, or maybe Canada being a little bit reckless. But on the other end, if Jig starts, like, I feel that Jig is a very business casual type of guy, and he will not mess up. And I kind of think that Jig might be a tiny bit too good for them. But we'll see. It should be fun, I think.
Do we have the votes of the chat? So it's 9 p.m. here, and Nurgard is actually in Korea right now, you know, in his team house. So it's really late, so I hope he's feeling good.
Yeah, I was going to try.
Yeah, it's like plus 8.
Oh, so it's 8 right now because of daylight savings, right? So it's 5 a.m.
Yes, it's 5 a.m. So I don't know if he was slept before or he just woke up really early.
He's probably still awake.
Yeah, I was going to say, it could actually be either one. Having been over there, and, like, you know, I think anyone always has the stereotypical pro gamer lifestyle. I know that he's had to get up this early or stay up this late, whichever one it is, before. And I don't know, I sometimes feel like it helps him, drunken master style, even if he is tired.
I wonder if Scarlett is watching behind him.
I'm not sure. It feels like in the house, you know, when I was actually in Korea in the Seoul when Scarlett was playing her round of 16, and I really expected the entire house to come out and like cheer on for Scarlett. Like I could have gone to like Pyeongchang, or I could have gone to like Coexmo or some adventure park. I was like, no, I want to watch Scarlett play in the round of 16. This is freaking cool. And then I thought all the other guys from the house would come as well, and they're like, nah, it's too far. I'm like, what do you mean too far? I was like, okay, apparently they live kind of far away. It's like 45 minutes. But I was like, come on, round of 16. 16, you know, someone from my house was playing the round of 16. Like, I'd be the first one in that building.
I was gonna say, I'm sorry you have to pay $1 to ride a train for
Yeah.
45 minutes. Like, it's pretty accessible, but no, it's like, I don't know, people have these misconceptions about the house, and that is one of them. Like, they're not necessarily all like hugging each other and doing like kumbayas and stuff and being spiritual guides. Like, they're just kind of mostly there to practice on their own with very like limited, like, hey, what do you think I did wrong?
But so have you ever been to Korea?
Multiple times. Yeah.
So do you like it?
Yeah, of course. I actually lived there for like 3 months last year. So that's where I saw a lot of the house, and then the year before that I was there for a month. So yeah.
It's nice.
Well, yeah.
So
really
you
awesome.
visited the team house there?
Yeah,
Or-
I did. Yeah, I was there at the beginning 2 years ago. Technically, and then last year in the summer, I was there just occasionally hanging out. They're not like that house was actually in Seoul, so a little more just I guess accessible, but they just still didn't go out. It's mostly like, can you order takeout? Can you bring it here?
Yeah.
So.
But actually, I think it's a really good idea, like, to have this practice house there.
Yeah.
And they're being good, like.
Yeah, no.
It's very effective.
Absolutely. It seems like a lot of the players that have gone there have really, either expected their own expectations in some of the events, or B, just shown great things in potential. And maybe it hasn't come out truly yet. But a couple of the results, I mean, you can't deny them. Scarlett having an absolutely fantastic run. Of course, Neep spent time in Korea as well before he went on an absolute tear of dominance last year. It seems like only Saros is messing with the rule that you have to be there to get really good, because Saros is casually sitting in Finland and he's like, I'm still better than all of you. But, you know, overall, it definitely seems like it's helping. And it seems, I think it's a shared thing. Like, I absolutely believe that you get better by playing on the Korean ladder, especially when it comes against your versus Terran. Like, you know, the Korean Terrans in general, they just seem better. You don't get that type of practice outside of Korea. But I also believe that, you know, you're a product of your own environment. And if you sit around people, even if you don't interact with each other all day, if you see them play, you're like, okay, yeah, now I got to go as well. You know, like, I don't want to lose against this clown in the next WCS regional event. So I think, like, they directly, but also indirectly motivate each other to play a lot more and get better.
So that's a positive thing. So we have No Regret here for the interview, the captain of Team Canada, and we don't have PSG, but
Oh, darn.
It's okay. We don't need him. I got this.
Hello,
I'll be hungry in
Jake.
Canada.
How are you?
Wait, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
First of all, I want to clarify one thing. Jess's lack of enthusiasm towards lakes is absolutely appalling to me. Okay, that was an amazing fact, and I just want you to know that.
I thought you were going to correct
From the
something
bottom of
about
my heart.
the
I appreciate
house
it.
or Korea, and it's like
No,
your lake
lake.
knowledge
Yeah,
is terrible.
You're just like lakes or whatever.
High five,
Okay?
Jay. High five. Lakes
That's
are
not okay.
beautiful. I mean, it's a place to calm
Thank
down.
you.
You think about your 12 pools, you look over the water, like, it's magnificent.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, you understand. This is why I like you.
So how do you feel? Like,
So what's up?
have you slept a bit, or you had some
Nope.
energy drink?
Nope.
Oh,
I'm
you're
just dying on the inside, but that's
Oh
okay.
no, well, it's gonna be fine. So you're gonna play against Hungary. So what do you think of this team? Do you know any of these players? Have you met before, or?
No, I don't know any of them. I'm just gonna assume we're better than them, and hope it goes okay. I don't know. They could be like all Marus or something, but I'm just hoping we got like the 6 or 5K players or something. I don't know.
So,
I checked their like Aligulax, and I'm like, yeah.
so are you
Like,
confident
I
in
don't know.
your?
Like, there's nothing.
The PSG's Alicia like actually looks kind of somewhat promising, right? Like, he took out Lillecannon, he took out Gerald, he took a map of Seoul. Like, I look at that and be like, okay, that seems legit to me.
Yeah, it's okay.
Not impressed.
I don't know.
Oh, so
We'll see.
you're confident in your ZVT.
I'm hoping the others can kill them. It's 5 a.m. Okay, I don't want to play. I'm hoping they can just kill. If they don't kill them, I'll be very disappointed. I'll have to rile the troops and figure this out because
Oh, so
it's 5 a.m. I really don't want to play.
it means you're not going to start, I guess.
I mean, maybe I will just all kill.
Oh, we have
hey.
PSG.
Hello, guys.
Hi, hi.
Hello.
My mic is finally working, so hello.
Nice. Can you hear us?
Yes, perfectly.
Nice. So how are you?
Hello.
Have you just heard what Jake said about your team?
Yeah, I have heard.
Are you Mario
he
by any
was-
chance?
I'm the son of Maru, I hope. So.
That's not good.
So PSE, I have
How you
some
doing?
questions about Hungary, because obviously, you guys are kind of unknown for us. I know your name, of course, and I know Robert G as well. My first question is about Robert G. Why does he has a British flag on Alicia leg? Does he live in England, but he has a Hungarian passport, or what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. That's the case. So he's learning in the UK, so
Okay.
that's why.
All right.
Basically, he's a spy.
Yeah, he's actually
Correct.
Maru. He's the one.
So can you
Is
talk
he
to us a little
spy
bit?
for the UK?
Yeah, that's the case.
Jake, let the men talk a little bit about Hungary. Like, talk to us about your team. Talk to us about Robbie, yourself, and also Wardix, because, obviously a lot of the people at the stream and ourselves, we're not that well informed. So what can you tell us about Hungary?
Well, I am very, very happy to be here at the NationWars because it's our first time. Last year we barely did not make it because we only had 2 GMs at the moment. So our lineup is not the best because we are all Terrans, and you know how it is with Terran nowadays on the ladder. And actually versus Zerg we are all confident. Actually, there are no Protosses in the team of Canada, so that's something at least. And I think we have some chances because we have a lot of games to analyze. And we saw, of course, Jake at the GSL. We see the other guys on streams a lot, so we have a lot of games to study, and they don't really have anything on us. So I think because of that, we have a slight chance versus Canada.
So, while watching these games, have you found any critical points like you could use against Canada?
I think Jake plays aggressively, so that's something already. The other guys,
No, never.
sometimes, just
I don't know
maybe.
where you went with your research, but damn, you're way off. I never make a game below 90 drones. It's crazy.
Maybe that was a
I swear.
distraction only. And you are the best macro player. Okay, so the other guys, I think, play macro, so we saw a couple of games from them as well. And we are confident that we can take at least a couple of games.
Okay, so what are your predictions into this series? The score?
I want to say 4-3 to Hungary.
Ooh, so
Hungary? Okay.
Okay, so we have 4-3 here for Hungary. So Jake, what do you have to answer to that? Hello?
I don't know. This is he could. I'm just trying to figure out if it's Maru or not. If it's not Maru, this is going to be a 4-0 IMO, maybe a 4-1 if your Ligulac is pointing you to some sort of like 6K 6.3 or something. But yeah, 4-1 Canada. I'm going to say.
4 in Canada.
I'll assume someone gets lazy on our team.
Okay.
Or too aggressive, maybe.
So do you have anything to say, last words for your opponent? Like maybe Jake, can you say something to PSE? Like before the game? Anything to say?
I'm thinking about what to say. I'm thinking.
Okay.
Well, we'll see if you can use your race to your advantage. Okay, that's what we're looking forward to it. I want to see Ravens. I want to see the clicking, and I want to see you, defeat somebody from us.
Okay. And what do you want to answer to that?
Yeah.
Well, the answer is we are looking forward to long macro games where we can actually show what we are made of.
Okay. Thank you. So who's going to start the game from your team, Hungary?
The first player is going to be Wardix.
Wardix against in Canada?
BioIce.
So we have some ZVT, but that's not a surprise. BioIce against Wardix for the first game in this matchup. Canada against Hungary. Thank you guys. Good luck. And see you maybe after the games. Other of you.
Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe.
Don't fall asleep, Jake. Okay, so we're gonna have BioIce against Wardix.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was really impressed by their captain. He actually instilled some confidence in me for Hungary win. So
yeah, when I was making the predictions, I went for a 4-2, and this is really one of these games that it could even be a 4-0 for Canada. It can be a 4-1, but in a weird way, it can also be close. So like I said before, you can't sleep on European Terrans that are 6-2, 6-3 MMR. I looked at the Alicia Leck as well, and they're getting some victories. I do find it funny that he said he's very confident against Zerg, because in his last 5 encounters, he went 0-2, 0-2, 0-3. But maybe he's been working on it, or maybe he's been, like, you know, figuring out how to drop that scrambler missile, and things have been going better. You don't know.
I don't know what it is about Terrans and Zergs, but it's like always been a thing where, like, Terrans, I feel like majority of them are like, yeah, versus Zerg is fine. They'll have like 15% win record. They'll be like, yeah, it's all right.
It's
like,
amazing. They have like 62% against Protoss. They're like unplayable. And then you check their Battle.net ranking. They have 48% against Zerg. It's like, yeah, TVZ is actually a pretty good matchup. You know, when it comes out of skills, like, what are you guys made of? Like, this makes no sense at all.
They're confident. Maybe they have some like a secret strategy. So we'll find out. So the vote says actually it's quite close. I mean, like, we have 64% for Canada and 36% for Hungary.
Yeah, I mean, close. But yeah, closer than expected, considering that no one really knows much about Hungary. But maybe the interview actually did the same thing they did to me, where I'm like, oh, wait a second, like this could actually go really well.
And I mean, Robbie G, like, Vortex is the one that I'm most unknown with. Like, maybe he plays under a different account, but I honestly have not seen that name on the ladder, and I play a rather around like that ratio as well. So, but Robbie G is like, okay, you know, I know that kid. He knows how to play. He's absolutely capable of, you know, at least like executing decent builds, microing well, and maybe being ready for some of the shenanigans, I would say, that Team Canada is absolutely up to. And then PSG, I look at his previous results, I'm like, yeah, that's actually pretty legit. This could really be closer than at first when you're like, if you asked me 2 days ago, Canada, Hungary, like, Canada. But then you also think Semper. You think Mara, Masu. Masu, that's his name. His name is Maru, his real name, that is. But yeah, you think like Masa, Semper, and of course Scarlet. And you look at this lineup to Hungary, it's like, this could actually be a lot closer than you normally expect it to be.
Agreed. Yeah, it's hopefully going to be a lot of fun matches.
Okay, so is there a matchup that you're looking for? Maybe so no regret, Robbie G, maybe?
No, I think that could be fun. Or also like the two captains going up against each other. We get familiar right now with PSG, which I think is the fun thing about these interviews. It's more than a name now, right? Like, you see a guy, a well-spoken guy who's confident and he's cool. And I'm like, okay, I'm a fan already, you know, let the two captains duke it out. That would be a lot of fun.
I think that would actually be a lot of fun, especially like, you know, and it's not, if No Regret loses, I just want to see his tweets or whatever he makes after that, man. He just, like, he talks a big game.
He was really sad about Scarlett not joining the team, though. And
yeah, a lot of people were.
Yeah.
I mean, she kind of carried them to the round of 4 last year.
Yep.
So,
but as they always say, it is what it is, and the show must go on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, do we have the map for the first game? It's gonna be BioWars against Verdix and Acid Plant.
Okay. I mean, one of the larger maps in the current map pool. Not the largest, but definitely a large one. BioEyes, what I always, like, the first thing that I think of when I think of BioEyes is a play. He does non-stop run-bys. He always has, like, a group of links or a group of bailings somewhere. And the moment you move out, which he somehow spots with either a single link or an overlord, that's when he goes for the counterattack. He's a very annoying guy to go up against. And I say that in a way that it's a compliment. Yeah. Because he doesn't let you focus on one thing at a time. He kind of tries to do the same thing that you see, like, Rogue do all the time. You know, right when people want to attack Rogue, Rogue is on the other side of the map. People look away, and then you lose the High Templar and stuff like that. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that BioEyes is Rogue. That's a little bit of a stretch. But the idea and the game plan is there. It's a man who loves links and loves run-bys.
Okay. Yeah. So here we go for the first game between Canada and Hungary.
All right, let's take it away. The top left has the red Zerg for Canada. It is BioEyes.
BioEyes, fighting!
And on the right bottom side, representing Hungary for the first time in the StarCraft 2 NationWars. It is a man that we're not that familiar with yet, but perhaps he can change that. It's Vortex.
Vortex, fighting!
It turns into a really interesting match after the interviews. And that's what's so cool about getting those interviews. You say they've now face on the name, but just like, you know, it's always fun. Jake always ribs them, and so you get to really see their personality. And I'm actually like really excited to see what Vortex can throw out. He's the most unknown amongst, I think, everyone here even. And it's time for him to prove his stuff. They sent him out first, maybe to test. Maybe they were afraid of another person coming out first for Canada. But no matter what happens, it's TVZ, TVZ, TVZ. It's just more of like styles. Which one do you think you're going to be better against?
Yep, I think the first map is set, and maybe they also felt like Acid Plant not a great map, maybe to send out a Robbie G or a PSG and be like, Vortex, you know, test the waters. And it's also, of course, a great scout, you know, you can kind of see how BioIce plays, and perhaps he can somehow cause the upset here. And if he somehow gets Hungary in a 1-0 lead here, then I really think we've got a very interesting match on our hands. Because from that point on, I will be certain about nothing. This can really be a fun one.
Yeah. Of course, I think the first thing I think when I hear about an up-and-coming Terran is, like, first, are they Korean or are they, you know, not Korean? But then second is, are they mech or are they bio? Do they have a preference? You know, some of these up-and-comers are very strongly attached to one or the other, and then as they get better, they'll kind of be able to mix it in. But then some other people actually just can play both, like playing both. I think Acid Plant, I've seen a lot more bio in this matchup than mech. It can go into a super long game, though, where regardless if you go bio or mech, you'll see those Ravens, you'll see the Liberator Ghost shenanigans. I don't know if BioIce is really planning on getting that far.
Like, we've seen the power of the Raven Ghost combination with Liberators as well. Even just recently at WESG, we saw it again. We know it's not invincible as long as you don't give them all the freedom in the world. Like, even 5 bases cannot be enough, but, you know, Terran on 6, 7 bases eventually. Then it looks like you're almost facing an army that's unbeatable. But that unbeatable army is also very difficult to control. I mean, Jake is making jokes, you know, are you Maru, are you Maru, are you Maru? That's kind of because you pretty much have to be Maru to really get max value out of that army. So I feel like a lot of these up-and-coming Terrans, like you said as well, Jess, I feel like they often rely on just sharp timings, getting tanks and marines out, a little bit of micro, you know, and just kind of rely upon that kind of a playstyle.
What's really cool about Acid Plant for especially bio is that there is a pretty nice push tank positioning that can occur around the 4th base, assuming the BioIce takes the regular 4th. You can actually just set up behind the rocks there, set your tanks up, and then just hop over Marines. And it gets very annoying for the Zerg to be continually attacked, even if they're not truly under pressure. So I don't know if that's a plan here. We'll see if he's, you know, maybe the type to play with Hellbats as well, though I don't think that would happen in this map. It starts off with Hellion Banshee, which is safe and macro-oriented.
Yep, getting Cloak as well. I actually don't hate this opening against BioIce, but if I would open up like this, I'd probably make another set of Hellions that I perhaps keep at home and put them in my mineral line. Because once again, this man absolutely loves his links. And he's not the type of Zerg to all in from 14 or 15 drones. But he just, like, he often delays his stack a little bit. And he just makes so many units. Losing your Hellions or losing your map presence or not knowing exactly where the links are of BioIce could be very dangerous.
You already have a lair on the way for BioIce, so I mean, he's going to have access to an Overseer to deal with the Banshee, and we actually have an Armory coming out now for Wardix. This Overlord, unfortunately, is going to be shoot away. There's no Viking mage. The Banshees are coming up pretty fast here, but doesn't need the Viking. The Marine is doing the job.
So there's a Baneling Nest being thrown down now as well with multiple Spore Crawlers. I was looking at that layer time. I was like, that's actually pretty fast for BioIce. Kind of keeping a close eye on that Queen count. I was thinking maybe he's going to do something very weird. But it seems like it's going to be quite normal. I mean, 7 Queens is a lot, though. Like, you always think of Niduses these days because they are so prominent. But with the Baneling Nest and with all these Spores, I am not sure if we should be feeling a Nidus here.
No, I don't think so. I mean, it is funny, though. It's like 7 queens. Yeah. Is it for a Nidus or is it for Snoot? Like, and then where's the 8th and the 9th queen? Oh, that was back in the day. The combo attack of Hellbats and Banshees just has so much power, and the queens, grouped up as they are, would take a lot of damage. No Banelings were made, but the Banshee is taken out easily. Yeah,
that's actually a massive snipe, getting the Banshee that quickly. I obviously like that BioIce doesn't just attack move there with his links. They would all just get fried, and you really don't get much out of it. So BioIce feels the freedom to squeeze out 12 more drones. Maybe he's just been watching a few too many Zerg players die against like Hellbat pushes, and he's like, you know what? I'm not going to be that Zerg that dies to it. I will not have 5 queens. I'm going to get 9 queens.
Yeah. So the Overlord, I don't think it died, but did it see... What's the last thing that it saw? Well, okay, you know what? It gets in here anyway, so never mind. He does know that it's mech. I was going to go into, like, you know, specifics, but 2 factories down, it's quite obvious. He has his Rotorn on the way, and you can play around. I guess what is now a question mark is how aggressive is this mech? Is it going to be double Thor drops? You know, they have to deal with going around everywhere. Is it going to be more like Hellion run-by focused? Is it Turtle? Or are they just going to start building Sim City and just defend? There's definitely different ways to play this, but it is good that he scouts its mech.
There is another Banshee showing up in the main as well. Gonna try to get a little bit of damage done. will not get too much, but a little bit of lost mining time. It's something to work with. It's a shame he lost that other Banshee. We've really seen the power of the Banshees lately.
Yeah.
I mean, Hyperflux Rotos is ridiculous in the hands of Maru. Then again, most things are, but...
Yeah, that's the difference, isn't it? But it's nice to have two Banshees so that, you know, the timing to get drones or queens, something like that, it's kind of come and gone.
Yeah,
but if you just stick it on the outsides of the creep, then it just denies it and it's really annoying for the Zerg.
Oh, you gotta be careful, Wardix, as this Banshee takes a lot of damage as well. Two Banshees, of course, the magic number to one-shot drones as well. And that's always nice, right? If drones are being transferred towards a fort base, you sweep in there, you get a couple volleys off, and, you know, it's one shot, one kill if you have two. So the Banshee has so far not truly working out for Wardix, but... You know, he's still in this game. He's got triple orbital. They're even on supply. He's down a few workers, but the orbitals will make up for it. And it feels like these Banes, I mean, yeah, maybe against Hellions, right? Hellbats if they get on top of it, but...
Actually...
Baneling speed, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's probably not Baneling focused, but some Baneling styles can be obnoxious to play against as a mech player. I do believe BioIce accidentally made 2 infestation pits. He must have thought he didn't make it, so... Yeah, he wants to be on Hive already, but it's a small blip, I suppose. Gonna be able to take care of these Hellions. The Banelings could be kited down. Not necessarily worth the APM.
You know what's funny, by the way, is that we're finally casting a tournament that has skins. Like, this is a first for me. I already saw a couple of skins before, of course, with the Lynx from Elroy having those little flappy wings. But look at these Hellions, the little triangle badasses.
The real question is, you have the cool Viking skin. I know he made 2, which seemed a little quick, but I think he's just been using them to... Oh no, he's bringing them with the main bush.
I like the other skin.
Yeah, me too.
The Star Trek skin.
Yeah. I always thought this looked really silly.
Sorry, Blizzard, I know. It's not Star Trek, but kind of felt like it.
Uh-oh. I mean, the Roaches were scouted by Hellions, but he must have thought that they were just being posturing, not actually meant to counter. But these tanks, they need to be behind a wall.
Now the depot is, of course, lowered, which means that all of these Roaches just going to get on top of these things. I mean, this is still a scary force, though. And normally I would say never base traded Terran, but obviously if you have Roaches in the main base on top of the production, that changes things a little bit. It's going to get a very hectic game, but I mean, Roaches on top of production is normally something you don't ever want to have.
This army would actually have been perfect if he had Banelings, but no Banelings, no Baneling speed. Tanks are now sieged up. There's got so many Queens of Transfuses, they can tank a lot, but they cannot DPS this down, and that's really the only army over here for BioIce.
The problem for Vortex is, though, because those Roaches were on top of his production, he can't really spend his army that well. He lost a lot of the SCVs. He's not building much, because I'm not sure why, actually, because, I mean, technically he has some gas and minerals. Would be awesome if he's popping out even a few Cyclones, right, to just deal with those Roaches that are being so annoying in his main. I mean, he's been doing some damage, but I have the feeling he's been taking way more damage at home.
Yeah, unfortunately with mech, it's, you know, it takes so long to really set up safely. Even if it was bio, you'd be putting yourself on creep, and just always dangerous. So it's so much more damage for BioIce, and he's starting to kind of collect his rally points here and actually grow an army.
Yeah, a couple of Vikings are going to try to help out a little bit, but it seems like BioIce has got his forces together. Queens and Ravagers should be enough to deal with these last few Hellbats and with this tank as well. So despite the fact that Zerg lost 2 bases, I mean, imagine we live in a world where Vortex could actually just spend all of his money right now. Then it almost feels like he still has a small chance, but with only 27 SCVs and literally 0 army supply, Vortex decides to tap out as BioIce takes the 1-0 lead for Canada.
Yeah, nice macro game from BioIce. I think that he kind of had a feeling it was mech, and then it you know, just confirmed it. And then he did what he does, but usually with Lings, and he caught him at the most inappropriate time.
I feel like we got kind of robbed of the macro game, though. Like I feel like this was like, we're getting so close to the macro game. I felt the macro game was right here, and then BioIce said no here, you know? Like, I felt like he kind of stopped the party before it truly began.
He did, but I don't think he thought it would go like that, you know? No. Those Roaches were scouted by Hellions or on the side of the map, and that's where I said maybe he thought they weren't going to attack, like they were just posturing. He probably thought there'd be a couple tanks, and the most he could do is break the wall down and you get SCVs. But instead it turned into a almost base race.
Yeah, if those 2 tanks that were caught on top of the ramp, if those 2 tanks are just sieged up, you raise the depots, you have some SCVs there, of course you'll lose some, but that army was going to do damage as well on the other side of the map, so then we would have had a real game.
Yeah, saving the production might have saved the game, like, and given it to the Terran, so.
So here we go. We have a 1-0 for Canada after this first game. So who do you think is going to play next game for Hungary?
really don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. I think.
So, Robbie G or PSG?
Yeah, the captain, or I mean, a guy that actually has some pretty good wins under his belt. I usually we know something. We know the better player on a map or the matchup, or we at least know how confident they are. So they're saying let me go get them, but we really don't know anything about these guys.
I'm feeling Robbie G here. I must say I'm not very good at predicting the upcoming player, but I have a Robbie G feeling. As we've got a couple tweets coming in as well. Of course, guys, keep those tweets coming. Hashtag NW5. As Chemi is joining us in some tweeties as well.
So we will play tomorrow against Denmark.
Yep.
That's a fun one, too.
It's going to be a nice game, I think.
Yes, Denmark's pretty good with Little Cannon, Space Marine. That's not a bad match at all.
Optimus coming in. Looking forward to the relentless onslaught Robbie G is about to carry out. All right, so we have a fan for Robbie G.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of these Euro Terrans are fans of Robbie G. I don't know what cost is exactly, but perhaps some good old meme games, as they would call them, on the European server, as we are getting ready for our countdown. I'm feeling Robbie G. I'm feeling the onslaught.
Robbie G.
Yeah.
It's going to be.
I'm going to say the other guy, just to say it. Yeah. Yep,
Okay,
easy.
so we'll figure out if Robbie G is a European Maru. Maybe.
You might have some connection with it. I mean, how all Protoss players are combined by or connected by the Kala. Maybe these Terrans have some weird connection as well to Maru.
Did you play Legacy of the Void, Roddy?
At the campaign?
Yeah.
At least 7 missions.
Oh, okay, good.
Out of how many missions are there?
I have no idea.
15, or I actually don't remember.
Okay.
But
I
they
got
get the
halfway
Kala severed, so I don't know. It's part of the bad guys.
Okay, so Robbie G is going to play.
Okay.
So
all right.
We have BioEyes against Robbie G in the second game.
Yeah, and of course his map choice. But he just got some really valuable scouting about BioEyes, which we kind of knew. We said he was an aggressive player, Zerg player, and I'm sure they knew too. But he just showed a solid Roach macro game against Mech. Oh, wow. Okay.
Ooh, that's quite surprising. I mean, so it's Robbie G who chose the map as the loss, but
well, I've heard that Robbie G likes his cheeky proxies as well. And, maybe on a Biogenesis, like I said before, you don't even have to proxy because everything is so close towards your opponent anyway. But yeah, this is obviously a bizarre map pick. A Biogenesis is one of those maps that just left. But I'm sure that Robbie is picking it for a reason. And I'm very curious to see what that reason is.
It might be for the proxy racks. I mean, that short rush distance, of course. And also, for all the funniness that Abiogenesis has, when it does get past that point of oh my god, did they really pull me? Oh my god, are they bane busting me? It does kind of feel like it goes in the favor of Terran with some of the chokes and plateaus that it has. So he might actually like it as a map.
So it's going to be a really interesting and maybe surprising game. So here we go for BioEyes against Robbie G.
All right, Abiogenesis it is. In the bottom right, as the Red Zerg with 1 win under his belt, it is BioEyes.
BioEyes 화이팅!
And on the left top side, we're looking in the main base of the man who seems to have a lot of pro gamers as his fan. It is Robbie G.
Robbie G 화이팅!
So no proxy racks. That wasn't the plan. Scratch that one off the list, and then talk about what else could happen. It's Terran that chose it, but BioEyes could certainly try and abuse it.
I just wonder if Hajin is going to keep this up for all 3 weeks.
Every single time. It's just now her job.
Yeah. This is like he's just taking on extra work.
Yeah. So, talking about what can happen in the mid game here, I did describe how as it gets into the true mid game, okay, I'm not being all in. Let's just see what happens back to back. Oh, okay, expected a pull first.
Yeah, he's a little afraid though, right? And I mean, for all the right reasons. This is a Biogenesis, you scout, and you're like, should I go? And then you're like, nah. He actually hasn't even scouted yet, but he just wants to play it safe. He's worried about the potential shenanigans. This is obviously one of those maps as well where if the Zerg makes a couple of links early on, misrallies them, or not misrally, but puts a weird rally towards the other side of the map, avoids the Reaper, they start working on your SCV, and before you know it, more and more links start streaming in, and you just don't want to find yourself in a game like that. But at the same time, it's funny to see him dropping his command center on the high ground without truly seeing anything, yet he's the one who picked this map.
Typically, we see Terrans who are paranoid of this, just SCV scout, and I feel like it is more valuable. I mean, it's really weird to describe how much putting a command center not on location affects your build order, but it is something. And this Reaper Micro is looking pretty snazzy. Might actually get that drone. There's a hop-up spot to the right, so he could escape.
Yeah, but now the Queen has popped out as well. I really felt he could have had that drone in the first place, but I think he misclicked and it's focused. It's actually shot at his Zergling.
Okay, so it is going to be a 2-1-1 coming out from Robbie G. This is, I mean, it's a bit of a relic. I think Maro still does it occasionally, but Maro can do anything, and apparently it's going to be good. Many of the problems with this was it's just so easily scouted, and everyone knows the exact timings of it. So Zerg players got really good at defending and deflecting, but I think this has fallen out of the matchup. It's not done very much, and then you forget that there was a 2-base tank push that could follow this up. That would be powerful on a map like this.
And there's many different spin-offs with 2-1-1 as well, right? It comes down to eBay timing. Some Terran players like to actually hit with 4 Marines after that, where you get +1 as well. It all fell out of fashion a tiny bit. That overload got really close. How close did it?
Cool.
Could not have been any closer. So that's a shame for BioWise, because obviously he's not super familiar with Robbie G either. I don't think he has any idea what he's truly going up against here.
Yeah, and it was a Hellion version of this, right? It wasn't the barracks, and then factory. So there is definitely deception going on here. Now he's going to swap it over, but this is going to completely change the timings that BioWise expects.
So Bio is going to make a few more links to make sure he doesn't take too much damage from these Hellions. A lot of queens on the way again. Like BioWise truly loves his queens. He's got so many of them. Maybe he's been watching some of that Liquid Snoot stream. I've seen Snoot being live lately.
Yeah.
He's taking notes. He's like, all right, make queen, 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 queen. This is...
If he's turned over a new leaf, wants to kind of get rid of the image of him being aggressive, then certainly macro with queens is a good defensive way to play.
It's really fun as well to see how queens play out against 2-1-1, right? Because, like, yes, they tank a lot, but if the tanks is put up in a good position and you don't have enough banelings to really connect to the Marines, then queens can suddenly look very silly. They all stand there, they transfuse each other, but nothing happens.
Huh. So we have 2 engineering bays, but notably no 3rd CC, and instead an armory. So again, it's a different path to what was, same result. It's the 2-1-1 with
them into Hellbats, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's less about the drop that maybe kills a queen but clears up creep, and more about actually doing a lot of damage. And if those queens were clumped up like last time, it could go poor.
Well, this is BioWise in a nutshell here. Good positioning on those Marines. Damn, Robbie G. That looks sweet, because you look at it from the Zerg point of view, you're like, oh man, jackpot. And then there's a couple of Marines on the low ground with Marines on the high ground backing them up. That was really cute.
Okay, so I was worried that maybe he didn't see how many Marines there were, and that would have been a big problem, but he realizes that something is up. There was no 3rd CC, there's a lot of Marines on the high ground, so he's got to readjust his timings. He makes a lot of banelings and a lot of lings, just as the attack happens.
So even though the Ling run by didn't get much done, it's a great scout for BioWise. Now he knows what he's going up against. He has an insane amount of queens, actually. They're going to be able to buy a lot of time. But of course, the banelings are the real important unit here. Can the banelings get the connections that he's looking for? Let's see that Maru Micro from Robbie G.
Oh, it's not looking so great. I think immediately seeing the queens go aggressively forward, he had to back off. But how is he to know how many banelings were available? Boost has already been used. And that medevac gets out, but that attack supposed to be so much more.
Yeah, I mean, he is still up in workers, though. Of course, it is a problem that he doesn't have 30C on location or something like that. But, just now, BioWise is running up freely. That layer, compared to the last game, is very late. Obviously, BioWise worried about this being played on a Biogenesis. It's funny that he had 2 Evo chambers before the layer, but he decided not to use them. I think it's still a very playable game for Robbie G by any means, but obviously would have loved to be a little more successful there.
Yeah. I think there might be a little bit of over-defending going on here. BioWise, as soon as all the Marines, did make a ton of Lings and Banelings, but I think the big problem with 2-1-1 back in the day and what we see here is that the follow-up, if you lose your attack like that, there's just a big gap of time that you don't have much to do against the Zerg. You're waiting on a tank count, you're waiting on more Marines. So this is usually where they really explode, get a 4th, and get drones.
Ooh, I mean, this is kind of cute, though. The medevac gets sniped. Robbie G a little bit too much on the autopilot there. Ends up losing almost all of these Marines right when he was... now Bio is like, I'll finish the job for you. This was right after... he's sending out that double drop towards the left bottom side of the map. If he keeps those Marines alive as well, it's all about... I thought it was a double drop. Maybe it was a single. I saw 2 medevacs leave. It's kind of a shame, right? Because this is normally that phase in the game where you play against a low-tech Zerg, so no Hydras yet. If the Queens are out of position, your medevacs can truly be super annoying. And now he kind of loses some of that momentum because he just gave away 8 Marines in a medevac.
Good find on the 4th base, but it was like brand new, so just easily peasy put that down again. Only a single medevac is just, the harassment, but he could be setting up for a strong push later on. BioIce is, he said, only just now getting to Hydralisk. Centrifugal Hooks isn't done. Upgrades are going to be behind. Obviously, he has an armory, so he can start 2-2. There's not going to be a worry about Hive, so, a strong tank push on the middle of the map here is still going to be very strong. He's even getting a 3rd factory.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Definitely think there's a lot of potential still here for Robbie G as BioWise tries to do BioWise things, but Robbie G definitely seems to be more than ready for those run-bys. Always has a few units in position. See if you can get another cancel on that 4th base, as +1 melee is not quite done yet, but I think this actually has a little too much HP, and with all the Lings and Banes here, this should not be doable for Robbie.
Nah. But keeping the pressure up, scouting a little bit as well. He hasn't made his way into the main base or even the natural in a while.
Are those Banes on the right top side, by the way? Can we take a look?
Yes, that is a lot of Banelings.
And they've got speed now as well. Curious to see. BioWise is probably trying to set this up as well. But, I mean, Robbie G is working on a wall of supply depots. That's obviously what you would like to do here as a Terran player.
Yeah. He's also working on a 4th CC. I mean, I hope he doesn't just turtle up thinking that he's in a bad position. Because, really, if he gets to, like, the, I don't know, like 160 supply, let's say, with as many tanks as he should have with triple factory production, he'll still have a very strong
What's up with the double
timing.
What's up with the double infestation pit?
It's like the same.
That's back-to-back games where he gets double evo. Or excuse me, double infestation.
He did fix it this time.
Okay.
But
he canceled it on the final second because it was almost done.
That was that's weird. Maybe we'll see it again if he wins this game.
That's his lucky charm.
Yeah,
He's
something.
like, I've literally never lost a game and I built double infestation pits. So I'll keep doing it.
The Hive is on the way, and that's going to be really, really important to take care of Robbie G's tank count. Otherwise, you're going to have to find some way to get us around, and it's not a big map. There are some ways to kind of posture your Zerg army, but if they're smart, if they're scouting, if they clear up the creep, then it's really difficult for the Zerg to clean up what is like 8 tanks soon? Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, it's the 2-2 upgrades finishing up as well soon for Robbie G. Obviously, he wants to make sure he doesn't overcommit. All of these tanks were on siege. I actually would have kind of liked to see BioWise just roll forward there. And I really think even a bad fight would have been a good fight there in the end, because he would have been able to reduce the entire tank count. And obviously, with the economy that he has, the Banelings are trying to run by into the 3rd base. Perhaps we can take a small look at that. Not much.
Yeah. But it's a slow push. There was a decent amount of creep spread here, and it was the shock of seeing the army is held off a little while longer. So that Hive gets ever closer to finishing, and it's Vipers that he needs. So really, he just needs to make the Vipers and then get some energy on them. It doesn't take too long, and it looks like Robbie G is not pushing too aggressively.
No, I think he was just focusing on the macro bit, though. But I actually am not sure. I don't think BioWise can get time for that. I mean, he's dropping an Ultra cover now. Yeah. If he would start a Viper right here, right now, then maybe you're right. But I feel that Robbie G is already getting very close towards that 4th base, and obviously if he could somehow kill that 4th base, he puts himself in a fantastic position here.
I'm really worried about the Ultralisk Cavern. I really feel like any amount of Vipers would be just fantastic.
Maybe the tank count, maybe he feels the tank count is too high for just a few Vipers. What? 15 tanks?
Oh, jeez. Gosh.
How does he have 15 tanks? What a man.
Triple factory production.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, he still has a decent amount of Marines, too. He's going to come in from multiple angles. 3, it's pretty good for BioIce, but it's just so many tanks.
It's 15 tanks, yes. That's a lot. I mean, the Banelings are getting a couple of good connections here and there, but you cannot just run into 15 tanks. I mean, unless you have Ultras, I guess, with kindness plating. Robbie G putting himself in a pretty sweet position here as more tanks coming in from the north side. He does end up losing one, but BioWise is starting to run out of steam. He really doesn't have that much to fall back on. All he has is his economy. If he keeps the bases alive, of course, he keeps his dreams alive, but I kind of like this for Robbie G.
So he didn't have any medevacs. I don't know if that was the result of how many tanks he was producing, or he just missed a couple of production rounds.
He was maxed out on tanks, yeah.
yeah, that was probably it. So he was very wary of stimming in. There's also this funny problem that happens like with mech or when you just have high tank count, where like you split too much, you expect Vipers, so like your tanks, like half of them aren't even firing. Yeah. And he kind of had that in the last one, but obviously still overall won the fight. But now Ultras are on the way. Chitin is plating little to halfway done.
I mean, I also think he still had a lot of units at home because his army looked good and obviously the tank count was high, but it wasn't everything. It was pretty clear that he left quite a few units behind. We do have those 4 Ultras on the way though, not having a single medevac, and this goes actually back to the earliest stages of the game. I think Robbie G has played a pretty fine game so far, but he has been reckless with his medevacs. He lost that one medevac that was just chilling on the rocks, you know, that first double drop. I think he lost one of the medevacs very early on. Then he lost another one against the Queen Hydra, exactly where he currently is. If he would have had those medevacs with his push, then I think, well, those poor drones, that could have very well been it. Now with Ultras, of course, I mean, Ultras and Queens, and these Queens have a lot of energy. Now I'm a little more worried.
Yeah, and this is where Lings are really, really effective, more so than Banelings even. Getting on top of the tanks, forcing them to shoot other places other than the heart of the army. But this time BioIce isn't coming from 2 different directions, just one. It's not that bad of a choke, however. He is off creep, and oh god, it's going to be kited down.
I mean, 2 Ultras still alive, though they are soaking up a lot of the damage, but the tank count was ridiculously high. That means that these Hydras are now committed to the fight. There is 2 more Ultras coming in, but the Queens are blocking the Ultras. That's not how you want to take this fight, and now BioIce lost all of his Queens, and that could very well be it. We're watching esports history as Hungary is about to win their first game ever in StarCraft 2 NationWars.
I think so, but BioIce, I mean, the Ultra effect, you know, like maybe you start actually having cost-efficient fights with him, and he hasn't lost his economy yet. Robbie G, I really feel like if he gets surrounded with Lings, his army does suddenly crumble, but BioIce is trying to get Infestors instead. He wants to hold the Bio in position, but is he going to get a chance to do that?
The tank count still... Oh, I think he just shot his own tank, didn't he? With those Marines and Marauders, as the Banelings going to awfully close towards his army. Good micro by Robbie G. The tanks will fall. These Ultras do live, but all the Queens. Like, if BioIce still had his Queens, then I would absolutely believe that the Ultras could maybe turn this around. I actually do think that Robbie G shot at a couple of his own tanks there in that fight. Yeah. But that's all good, because now he's getting on top of this hatchery, and I still think he has what it takes, especially with that Liberator coming in as well, providing some safety.
Yeah, he's on a lot of bases. He's just pumping out Marauders, like, no problem. Focus firing the Ultras has not been an issue, and that's where Ultras actually look really good, is when you can't. There's too many Banelings, too many Lings. Fungal is good, but there's not enough left over here. GG.
Damn, Robbie G evens up the score for Hungary, taking a game of BioIce with some very heavy tank play, but just perhaps a very good build on a map like a Biogenesis.
It's his composition, I think, that works really well on a Abiogenesis. The actual build was a little question mark, but it clearly threw BioIce off.
I'm a fan. Come on. Give the boy some love. He just won a game for Hungary.
I mean, his build was a little odd, but his composition was absolutely perfect. Yeah. So it's a lot of praise, a lot of credit to the guy.
It's the first win in NationWars ever.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. And you look at now, they still have their captain behind this as well. Robbie G looks good. He must feel really good because he's getting support from all those well-known Terrans like Utomo and Optimus. You know, they're tweeting about him. He's showing up, taking a game of BioIce. What is like the worst map for Terran in this current map against Zerg?
Against Zerg?
Eastwatch has a lot of choke points,
right? I think Eastwatch sometimes heavily favors Terran. So.
Yeah, but I mean, then you need to be very confident in your ultra late game as well. That's, I think, a different type of Terran.
That is true. But, I mean, going back to where I think that does Terran have a super weak map? I don't think they do. I'm trying to go through the whole list. You know, the whole aspect of being able to play both bio and mech gives us a lot of flexibility on maps. So it's not, you know, we just kind of mold to the map. And
I almost feel like Acid Plant is one of the tougher ones, right?
I think Acid is always difficult, but if you can abuse some of the spots, but we already played on Acid Plant, so...
Yeah, I know, that one's already taken out. I mean, Backwater, you get free 3 bases. Neon Violet, you've got a Pocket Expand as well.
Yeah, I mean, Catalyst is very fair. Yeah, very straightforward. And then I guess we're missing one I can't remember, but I don't know. I can't think of any of the whoever's coming up next, right?
Blackpink. I mean, that's kind of. I mean, maybe that's an okay Zerg map, I guess, but not that bad for Terra.
Yeah, I can't think of really super biased maps here.
Okay, look at the votes here. So we have 60% for Canada and 40% for Hungary.
Yeah, so. That means that the people are currently voting for Hungary. There are believers. Yeah. you guys are believers, make sure to keep tweeting at us. Hashtag NW5. Send us some cool tweets about Hungary and perhaps the upset that is in the making here.
Why not? And RO32 seems like a strong player. I mean,
It was a strong mid-game and late-game performance. Like, very, very good, solid mechanics at the end there. Just missing a couple medevacs, I suppose.
Yeah, you know, he's living in the UK, so perhaps he's a fan of the Muslim as well, even though he's not, you know, British. But as we are getting close to finding out the next player of Canada, I've seen the Muslim play styles like that as well. He used to do it on Abyssal Reef, just having like 18 tanks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
okay,
it's
so
solid.
but I think Jig is gonna be the next player, and
Okay.
he is. So we are gonna have Jig, RO32 just after a short break.
I'm
so
excited.
we're coming back with that third game.
And we are back, guys. Tied it up between those two countries, and Hungary doing pretty well for himself.
Yeah, I mean, Robbie G showing up. He's getting the
told
love.
us.
What?
You told us that Robbie G was you know, legit, and he is.
He has stolen my MMR at more than one location, and I was like, okay, Robbie G, man to watch.
Okay.
No, it's really
You're
fun.
on my
I mean,
list now.
No, yeah, exactly. But this is what NationWars is all about, right?
Of
Like,
course.
when do we ever get to cast Robbie G? When do you see him on a big stream going up against much more well-known players like BioWise?
Yeah.
It's really cool, and I'm kind of starting to believe that perhaps there is an upset in the air here. It's absolutely capable, especially when you take into consideration that No Regret is currently in Korea. He looked pretty tired during the interview. I almost feel this puts a lot of pressure on our next Canadian player, Jig.
Oh, yeah.
He really has to show up in a big way here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if they do drop this game and they have to use, as you said, No Regrets and not the best competition, not the best shape because of how late this is, well, yeah, it's going to be tough. And as you can see, like the chat and you guys believe that Hungary actually has a shot. It's 50-50 now. Dead even.
Imagine if they take the lead. It's going to go way...
70-30. Everybody's just going to, you know, turn their cave like, no, Canada, not a chance. Nobody voted for those guys.
And of course, everybody loves an all-Terran lineup as well, don't they?
Oh, yeah. We will be playing on Blackpink for that third game. And as you said, I think, like, most of the times you got a tight series, and especially considering the only player that's remaining on the Canadian lineup, if they were to lose this game, being in Korea, in No Regret, that's a really important game, obviously. Like, it's going to probably determine the rest of the series. And Hungary, we all voted for Canada, right?
Yep. I predicted a 4-2, and I was very close to actually going 4-3. It's pretty funny, because when... our producer came here and he said, like, okay. And I was like, what did Funker predict? And he's like 4-0. And I was like, what? He's nuts. And then and then Jess is like, what do you mean? Why he's nuts? I was like, don't sleep on these Euro Terrans. Like, you got to show some love to the Euro Terran boys. 6-2, 6-3 MMR on Europe server means you're pretty damn legit. Knows you know quite a bit of, I know you're quite a thing about this beautiful game called StarCraft 2. I'm struggling over here. It's been a long day, guys.
Yeah, but it's okay. I mean, like, what he showed during that game and going up in the same matchup, I think it's looking pretty good for our Hungarian Terran. But we will introduce the other player representing Canada on the top right of Blackpink as the red Zerg is Jig.
Big fan of this man. He is a super kind human being. He's very fun to go up against, and I've played probably more against Jig than I've done against anybody else in this tournament. I really like Jig, and I feel that he is definitely somebody that hasn't really shown his full potential yet. I think he can do a lot better, and perhaps he can start with that by taking out this man who just took the first map win ever for Hungary. Give it up for Robbie G. What a name. Robbie G.
That's a pretty good name.
I
That's
know.
a pretty good name. I like it. And also, I liked what he showed. Like, super strong Bio-Terran, super strong mid-game, pressure all around, and able to just defend and do fairly well against the Ultralisk in the late game.
You know what I
His
love?
positioning was good. Like,
Funka, yeah, you need to have a little talk with your protege over there, because...
Tell me.
Yeah, you know, every now and then we have we have a little banter here. We talk about the players, and then something is happening, and he starts frantically clicking on the spawning pool, and he clicks on it 3 more times. He's like, "There's a circling all the way, guys. Why don't you talk about it?" It's like, Kev, relax. You know, we're gonna have 3 weeks with each other here, and every now and then it's okay if we mention that this pool is early. If we do that like 30 seconds down the line, as the first links, it's only 2 links.
Yeah.
So I guess he's gonna maybe throw up a roach warren behind this, because I often feel the 2 links are to pull the Reaper back and then actually hide what is truly going on the other side of the map.
I think you're onto something there. We'll see if he decides to go for it. The Zerglings just went around, haven't been scouted by the
It would be
Reaper.
useful for Robbie G if he doesn't turn around. Like, I think he needs to commit to the scouter almost, even though there's just speed on the way and extra drones on the way. Kind of an odd opening here by Jig. Often when Zerg players do this opening, they go 4 links, 6 links even. It's just 2 Zerglings, so 1 Marine should actually have an okay time against these 2 links.
Look at his scouting.
Robbie G!
That's
Oh, he misclicked, he misclicked.
That was a misclick. That Marine should have never went
Fight,
to the...
SCV, use your drilling claws.
Yes! So many things going on at the same time. Okay, the SCV died. That's a good opening for just 2 Zerglings getting the Marine, getting that SCV.
Oh wow, he got the
factory.
SCV as well?
Yeah, it did.
Oh man.
2 kills on that Zergling. Look at the hero.
The 1 ling that cooled. Can we write a little book about this? Look, he's still fighting. He's having a close fight with his SCV. He's going for the HP regen. He's like, all right, all I need is to regen a tiny bit more. I think he's going to try to get that other SCV as well.
That'd be sick.
What do you think, Fonka? Will he get that extra SCV or not? Are we looking at the most impressive Zergling of all time?
Let's see if he can fend off against 2 Marines.
2 Marines.
Apparently not. Not Roddy.
Still had a great run, that guy.
Without speed and with 6 HP against 2 Marines, that was like quite of a tough fight for his Zerglings, but he did do really well
and what
by
a scout
delaying
as well.
in the factory, and a great scout for the 2-1-1 strategy that's coming out from Robbie G.
I mean, Jig actually looking really on point so far. The only thing that didn't go Jig's way is the fact that he couldn't go up to 3 bases. But what did he just cancel? That wasn't his Roach Warren that he just cancelled. Did he? Did he cancel the Roach Warren?
The thing is, like, we can't really confirm because I think if you go to like the destroyed building tab, it doesn't.
No,
show
but I
anything.
mean, there was a Roach Warren on the production tab.
Okay, I didn't see it though. Okay, so that's definitely a Roach Warren.
I mean, now I need Kevin, our fantastic observer, to please confirm that there was a Roach Warren on the way.
So
he's quiet. Oh, he doesn't know. He's frantically clicking on a spawning pool and he missed the Roach Warren.
You know, when I don't know, I actually always agree with the casters.
Yeah.
that's something for the future, Kevin. If you don't know, just make the caster look smart and too honest. Yeah, that's the thing. We've got a German observer. Those guys are really honest in general.
Yeah, but they're supposed to be efficient as well, and I didn't see a Roach Warren. I'm kidding, Kev. We love you.
He starts with, this has been a long day, but this has been a long day for our observer.
Oh, he's calculating resources now. He's like, all right,
okay.
I need to quick maths on stream.
What would it be? Like, it would make sense, in my opinion, that he confirms that it's a bio play. He doesn't want to have a Roach Warren.
Yeah.
Goes into bio. Well,
he feels confident.
melee.
He can just go Ling, double upgrades, and he's going to try to collapse. Now, the only thing you have to worry about is a quick tank follow-up push, or actually maybe just mass marine, because one of the downsides of this Zerg opening is obviously that, you know, the layer gets a little bit late, and that means that bailing speed is late. And bailing speed against Stim Bio, that's not a very pleasant fight.
Oh, yeah.
Especially off creep, but I mean, Jig's actually making a lot of units though.
Yeah, that's a lot of Zerglings going the Canadians' way right now. The 3 queens will set themselves up around the 3rd base because that's where Robbie G wants to hit. He's going to get an overload for his trouble. Got a creep tumor, not going to be able to get the 2nd one. And yes, there is no bailing speed, but I feel that there's also so many units that it's going to be super tough to get the proper targeting. So he's going to get a fight outside of the creep and just, you know, pick it up in the medivac and just boost out away.
Look at the amount of overlords on the way. Now the layer does start though for Jig. Marine's getting dropped very close to these bailings. Robbie G, you're reckless. What does the G stand for? That's somehow something to do with crazy and reckless. He is, oh my.
Oh,
Jig.
damn, Jig.
So even though Jig is going up to a layer, he feels very confident after picking out those Marines in the middle of the map. And his 1-1 upgrades are about to finish. Robbie G has not scouted it yet, but he does see extra links running towards his side of the map.
Yeah, he should
He has
be
no
worried.
tank, right? He has
Maybe one.
Okay,
Yeah,
tank.
he does have one tank, and that's a double-edged sword. I like what Jig is doing, but if he fails, and that first tank, that first shot actually made him go back instantly. But he already invested so much money, so much resources into those banelings without being able to break down the wall. So that's what I was trying to say. Like it can be so effective to do that, but it's also taking so much risk in a matchup where usually the Zerg just wants to sit back and defend, you know?
But at least, you know, by showing all those units, maybe he prevents Robbie G from being too adventurous with Marines and Medevacs. And once again, actually had a little chat with Lambo about this style. This is a style that Raynor likes to play as well, you know, getting the double upgrades before going up to layer. And Lambo just kind of said one of the main reasons why you don't see this super often anymore is because all the Terrans would just show up with 4 Medevacs full of Marines, and they'll kite your banelings forever because you don't have baneling speed. Now, do you need to be good for that? Of course you need to be good, but it is very doable, and that's one of the reasons why this style kind of fell out of fashion. But Jig got away with it, just like Raynor got away with it as well against Special. And I kind of like where this is going for Jig, as long as he doesn't get too crazy.
Oh, that's a nice link run by, actually reminding me of Raynor, as you mentioned, going for a full-on counterattacks with Zerglings. He will get a tank, he will get a couple of SCVs. That's pretty good for Jig. He didn't lose that many Zerglings in the process.
That's that one SCV from the beginning of the game.
I got you now!
Yeah. It's like these guys have avenged their little Link brother in the beginning of the game that was supposed to win that fight too. I mean, Jig just getting damaged, buying time, right? He's going for a Spire.
Yeah. That's quite adventurous when you think about it.
I mean, maybe he feels that Robbie G is going to play triple factory again and make 15 tanks. And he's like, well, maybe in that way.
What about Mutalisks? Or even Corruptors could be on the way. I don't really know what he's going to decide. He's got 1,000 mill rolls and about 1,000 gas.
I feel like this is a Muta type of game.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you really want to go Corruptors here, but let's see. Jig has always been a slightly different type of Zerg, so let's see if he decides to bring his own touch here.
Okay, Tutu is about to finish. We're still waiting on the decision from the Canadian player. Still no Mutalisks in the production tab. Seek upgrades, as you mentioned, with the double Evo before the lair. So that's a really strong timing that Jig could hit. Still no Mutalisks? Does he change his mind?
Nah.
I know. It will produce a handful of Mutalisks when he's 7.
This almost feels like a PVZ Muta type of build, right? Make a couple of Mutas, you do a little bit of economic damage, and then you buy time for whatever else you wanted to actually get for real. But now he's going up to 13, and that's obviously a much more serious number. Robbie G has not scouted this yet. He's completely unaware of all these Mutas that are potentially heading towards his side of the map soon. No missile turret whatsoever. Throws down a scan, still doesn't know.
Yeah. But those units need to come back to fight off against those 16 Marines that are rushing towards the natural right now.
What a guy!
Evo Chamber are gonna get taken down, but there is no upgrades there. And with the Mutalisk in the air, he should lose everything. Even the Queens are perfectly positioned by Jig.
Good movement by the Lings and Banes as well by Jig, though, because sometimes this can be annoying. You have to back off again with your Mutas, right? But Jig being all over that little hit squad from Robbie G. He got an Evo Chamber, but very unfortunate timing on that Evo Chamber because +2 was done already. Now he starts the Tor as well, and he's going to throw up some turrets while more Links are entering, and friendly fire almost killed another tank. Ooh.
Oh, that's actually going to be tough to hold. I think Jig wants to attack on the 3rd base. There's a wall in that's been done by Robbie G, which is super important for him.
I don't think Jig should really commit now. I think as long as you have 1,700 minerals, 600-700 gas in the bank, and you're going up to Hive, I am just not sure if that's the moment to commit. On the other end, you could say he's got over like 50 links. He's got 20 additional banelings morphing as well. Maybe this is a moment to trade. Maybe he can pull this Terran out of position with his Mutalisk.
And that's what he's trying to do, even though he lost a couple of Mutalisks for a turret that he didn't kill. Let's see if he can make it happen, because he's pulling the army out of the position, and now the tanks are in siege. And Rotterdam, that doesn't look really good for a Terran player, but the 2 tanks on the right side are actually demolishing every single baneling.
Those tank shots were ridiculous. And a couple of SCVs went down, and of course a lot of the tanks went down.
27 kills.
Yeah, did you see the splash damage in the middle of that Link Bane pack?
Oh yeah,
that's insane. Jig still has a lot of money in the bank though, so once again making a few trades here and there as he has his 4th base. It's not the end of the world, but how many times have we seen a Terran like actually just run across the map because they suddenly squeeze out like 8-10 Marines at a time? But since Robbie G is so tank heavy, maybe Jig feels that as long as he makes trades like this, he will get his ultras out.
Yeah, you want to fight away from your bases as much as possible. So the positioning from Jig is actually quite smart. Trading armies like this with the hive coming in, he will be able to research +3 attack, +3 melee, and +3 carapace for his Zerglings and eventually his Ultralisk. Also getting the crackling upgrade. So everything going pretty well for Jig, but it did give away so much units, Zerglings and Banelings mostly, on that last attack. RobbieG trying to get a 4th base going, +2 attack on his tanks will help definitely. Even a Thor that can be useful against Ultralisk, for instance, and to fend off those Mulists. So I guess this game is still playable for both players. Yeah. We'll see like a proper late game with 3-3 on both sides.
I definitely would like to see some more Liberators then as well for Robbie, though, because it feels unlikely that he can truly go up against like 7-8 Ultralisk with all the upgrades in the world with just Marine Tank. And then I feel like I need to start adding in a lot of barracks with some tech labs and squeeze out a few ghosts. But ghosts are very difficult to control. Often an easier way to do it is use Liberators as zoning, as these mutas are finding some pretty serious damage bouncing between these bases.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Between the first, the main base and the third, pretty sick by Jig to find that opening and getting some kills. 15 SCVs went down. That Thor might get picked up, but that's a pretty sizable amount of damage coming in from that Thor. And those Mutalisks, they have to go back. They have to go back. They have to regroup and regenerate as fast as possible as the Ultralisk are coming. 6 on the way.
Yeah, 6 on the way, and obviously you still have all those Lings and Banes as well. Vipers being produced now as well. That was obviously one thing that BioWise was missing a little bit. Yes. But I really love the way that Jig used his mutas here. It really felt in the way that he used them in, like I said, like how most Zerg players use them against Protoss. The tank count is at 12. The Marine count was at 42. 7 of them going down there against these Marines. But the Ultras, like, that's normally should be a bridge too far. This should be a little too much to handle for RobbieG, who's got quite a bit of money in the bank, though, not that much gas. He's going to start spreading his tanks. Oh. I mean, I love this run by Jig.
That is perfect. And that takes so much confidence in your play to actually send out so many Zerglings. But he gets 2 tanks for his troubles. I think the third one has been saved. No, actually 3 tanks in total.
These Lings
Some
are
Zerglings,
nuts.
They are nuts indeed with +3 upgrades about to finish. And now the Ultralisk are there. The chitinous plating is not done, though, already. The transfuse are going to rain down on those Ultralisk. Nice from the Viper. Those 3 tanks, they can't shoot. And that's a perfect defense from Jig on this one.
It felt like the bio was truly missing here for RobbieG. He really didn't have many Marines and Marauders in the mix at all, so he couldn't really kite. The tanks definitely did some work there, but on creep, with Ultras coming in from every angle, Jig just simply having a little too much there.
Yep, the Mutalisk still around, but there's a turret here, so they shouldn't be able to destroy anything. Maybe a reactor. He's actually going to go to the third base, and there's still no turret there. So that's a little bit more economy going down the toilet for RobbieG, and Jig is in a commanding position in this game, and that's really good for Canada, obviously, that Jig is able to perform at such a level against RobbieG in the same matchup in which the Hungarian player just won before.
Yep. No, Jig is looking really good here, really living up to some of the praise and love that we gave him before. He's definitely an underrated Zerg player. He can absolutely duke it out with the best. Now, RobbieG may not necessarily be the best. He's an up-and-coming player, but this is just a good showing by Jig. I really love the way he's been setting up his attacks. I love the mobility of the mutas, the way that he used them, bouncing back and forth between those bases. How many SCVs went down in this game?
32.
Yeah, that's mostly the mutas, right? A little bit of a Zergling run by as Jig seems like he's feeling confident enough to actually just run into RobbieG, who is pretty well set up defensively, but that is a lot of Zerg, Funka.
That is just too much, Roddy, I think, and with a nice blinding cloud on the tanks on the right side, he will go down on every single base at the same time. The mutas come back, destroy some more economy. The Ultralisk are not controllable on this one. Corruptor will destroy that factory, not before the tank will come out, but I think he should break him the
regular
orbital.
attack.
Yeah,
he should have used caustic spray. It's so much better.
Yep.
I mean, he was using it before. I guess he just ran out. As his Ultra is still going to town. Obviously, these are very good trades for Jig, guys. He's pretty rich. Mutas somehow still survive. As one Ultra will get picked off, but Jig is having a field day. He's producing 5 more Ultras on his side of the map. You want to be a tiny bit careful. You don't want to get super reckless and now just make another crazy attack if you can't get the job done. But I actually think that Jake feels confident enough that he will get the job done. This is cute.
I think that's one of the first time I've ever seen caustic spray to destroy rocks on the map. But you know,
I really hate
works.
the way that the water flows out of the corruptor. Like, can we zoom in one more time? It just feels, I don't know. It feels like in slow motion, right? Like StarCraft is so fast, and then it feels like that spray is so slow.
Yeah, you don't know what's the composition of the actual caustic spray. So I guess maybe, whatever.
It's 7-Up.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. They've been drinking too much on those Zerg planets.
We can see the Greater Spire being researched, being produced right now. We've seen a lot of corruptors in the air yet, but not a single sign of that Greater Spire. But it's happening now. So you might be able to go into Broodlords if he can't finish the game. And at the same time, Robbie G manages to take a 5th base, which didn't seem that likely.
Jake coming in from the other angle as well. Lings on top of these tanks. That's -5 tanks. Just like that, and I believe that is going to be the end here. I think this one is all over, as we've got Blinding Clouds on top of the bio. The Ultra is going to work. The Corrupt is putting in their hours as well, and it seems like Jake has delivered us an excellent ZVT.
Oh yeah, excellent performance from the Canadian Zerg here, who will be able to take down Robbie G and maybe, you know, shut down the momentum for the Hungarian team after the first win of their Terran player. But there's nothing he can do against those Corruptors, those Ultralists. Even the Queens are on the field on the opposite side of the map on the 3rd base of the Terran player. That's not something you see every day. But thanks to an amazing creep and an amazing game plan in general, Jake will take this game quite easily, I would say.
Yeah, even though there is a 40 supply Terran army pushing back 112 army supply of the Zerg, as an Abduct is being used. I feel like Jake is just having fun at this point. He's, you know, you don't want to throw. You never know against Terrans with planetaries. You might be a tiny bit afraid. But the fact that Jake has taken absolutely 0 economic damage on his side of the map should give him a very good idea that this game is indeed in the bag. It's going to take a few more Extractors though, but he's maxed out. He has a great Aspire, so he actually can't morph any Broodlords now.
Yeah.
Unless he morphs some Spore Crawlers, frees up some supply, and breaks the game.
Maybe he kills a little bit his own Ultralisk. I mean,
can we disqualify him if he goes over 200 supply?
I think it's allowed.
Oh, really?
I think it's allowed. I know this seems unbalanced.
What a race.
But yeah.
What a race.
You can go over 200 supply. Like, nobody thought that was possible. But yeah, Zerg can do it. And if he decides to go for it, there's nothing we can do.
What's the highest you've ever seen?
I think it's like 220 something.
That's, I don't know. I've seen a 234 game.
Really?
Yeah, I think Dimaga did it once.
Dimaga?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember this game.
Yeah, I think he had 234 once, or even 237,
Wow.
something like that. It's just ridiculous. Imagine,
like a TVZ mech game or something?
No, I think it was against Protoss in the era where everybody was camping against Broodlord Infestor.
Well, I mean, was there anything else to do?
No.
Okay, those Ultras will make quick work of that planetary fortress. All that Terran technology just falling down to the Kaiser blades of those big fat Ultralisk will all have to, you know, go back. They don't have that much support, so the bio will fend them off. But yeah, kudos to Robbie G to just you know, stay in the game and
I actually feel like Jake
ending.
is giving him a little bit too much time. Like, I still think this game is absolutely over, guys, and I do not really believe that there's a way for Robbie G to come back. But I feel like if you have 110 army supply, your opponent has 40, you just kind of want to pedal to the metal and go. That's not a moment where you want to get ahead, so get further ahead. It's like, no, because at this point my opponent's kind of dead. If you give your opponent 88 army supply, which is what he currently has, suddenly very weird things could happen. Now, do I see a way that Robbie G kills the Infestors and the Broodlords? Not really. But the longer the game goes on, the more hope there is. Like, if there was like 0.001% chance for Robbie G, I would say right now there is maybe a 1% chance. So, still not looking great. But, you know, the longer this game goes on, the closer he is going to be to remaxing.
Yep.
The more potential there is for a miracle.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, right now he loses a Medivac. Those 2 other Medivac seem like they're, doomed to be taken down at some point by those Corruptors and Ultralists. But Robbie G, just trying his heart out to stay in the game and maybe make a comeback happen. But I do believe we have some Broodlords now. We should
like
be able, to finish the game because there's nothing against Broodlords, and that's actually going to be it. GG. And Canada will take the lead 2-1 in this best of 7. So my 4-0 is out of the picture, but this kind of great momentum from from Hungary is a little bit not dead yet, but at least stopped for a bit.
I think maybe in a way they kind of even expected this potentially, right? Where, you know, you lose your first game, it happens. They send out Robbie G, he got the job done. In these kind of matches as a player, you always go out with the idea, all right, we want to win. At least I want to win my first match. Because if everybody on your team wins their first match, you're always going to win, right? Like, it's very simple, basic, quick buffs. So, in a way, I actually think that Robbie G feels all right about his performance. Now it's time for the captain to step up. Like, these tanks were ridiculous. They got some serious work done. But Jig with a couple of great engagements, of course, later down the road. And some fantastic Muda arrests, man. Not something we say very often these days, but those Mudas really put in the work.
It's so sick to see Mudas once again in ZVT and seeing them work. Like it's always been like one of the most iconic units, I believe, in the Zerg race. And the ZVT has always been about like mutiling, bailing against bio and tanks. And it's good to see it once in a while, you know. But a lot of different attacks coming out from Jig with like perfect control. Only one Viper, but still getting the proper Blinding Cloud. No, I guess just in general, just a proper game from both players. And seeing like a 20-minute TVZ with bio and Mutas involved, I like it.
Yeah, nothing to complain about. And I like the way that Jig was counterattacking as well. I truly feel that's one of the biggest strengths that Zerg just has in general. You don't want to just sit there and receive that big Protoss or Terran attack. You don't want to give them all the time in the world to do like the bomber thing, you know, where you split every single Marine individually and then the tanks move forward. And eventually like, okay, he's getting really close right now. I guess we kind of have to fight. But it's like, no, you distract them with run-bys on the other side of the map and then you cut off some reinforcements and that's when you jump on the main army. And Jig did it perfect. Like, that's Clinic Zerg player right there.
Yeah, Clinic Zerg player indeed. So, in terms... Oh, we have some tweets, actually, to show you guys. So, let's take a look at that. It's Optimus!
Yeah.
What does he say? Oh, that was too fast. I didn't see Optimus's tweet. Can you show it back?
We already showed that one before.
Okay.
It basically said he was ready for the Robbie G onslaught. As Risky, perhaps the man of the day, with a great showing early today against Australia. Saying that he's also in the UK, so we're pretty much the best team in NationWars. UK just can't get enough. It's all about Great Britain today, isn't it?
They already qualified and they're still like, yes, we are the best team, and even Robbie G is part of us. And NationWars 5 esports history, that's cool. People are hyped. I guess they're hungry for victory. Yes, I went there. And I know TKL. TKL on the French stream is actually enjoying this one quite a bit. He likes his spawns.
I'm hungry for Hungary. This is great. I love support for Hungary, though. Yeah. That's great. I mean, it's really fun to, of course, for us have a new nation here as well. Welcome some new players, and they're even getting the love and the support. It's great.
But that's good. I mean, like usually the round of 32 seems like, you know, like a formality for most of the games, but we've seen some pretty decent showings from even the teams that we didn't expect.
Yep. Technically, it was an upset early today as well when the UK defeated the higher-seeded Australia. Now, I think if you analyze the matches, it wasn't that big of an upset, but obviously a close one. Our next player is going to be PSZ, but we don't need a 30-second countdown for that because he's the only one left on the team.
Yeah.
But then we could, of course, potentially still revive someone as well, but could very well be the captain going back-to-back.
That'd be great. That'd be great, actually. And you told me off stream that you felt like PSZ was like a really decent player and that he had a shot there.
Yeah, I absolutely. I still think Jig is I think very highly of Jig as well. Okay. I think a lot of people sleep on Jig. I think he's very good. But I look at PSZ, his match history, and what I remember from playing him. Like he took a map of Seoul in the series. He took out Lila Cannon and Giroud. Like those are pretty respectable names, you know, like if you can duke it out with those guys who are like 6'4", 6'5", 6'3" on the European server, why wouldn't you be able to bring the fight to Jig? Now, Jig is somebody who is like very often, whenever he wants, top 5, top 6 on the North American Grandmaster League server, and the map seemed to be Eastwatch. All right, you better give me some Ghost Liberator shenanigans here.
That's the perfect map to do it on.
Yeah.
I mean, like, look at all those choke points and all those like walls that are inside of in the middle of the map. You can basically split the map and like push entire armies into tiny choke points that you will be able to abuse with like planetary fortresses, liberators, ghosts, everything. So you can slow down the pace of the game and try to go late game, as Maru showed us with Ravens and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, Ravens obviously the unit of the hour at this point. We've seen a lot of Ravens success, but at the same time we also saw how you can perhaps stop that from happening. I mean, I think we watched that game of Saro against Maro on this map, and that's the game that you can talk about for hours, where
Crazy.
it really felt that Saro was doing almost everything right. But then there was one thing where he didn't do it right, and he didn't trade. And yeah, Maro, if you give him a little bit of space, Maro's like, oh, come on, man, just this space over here in the right middle of the map. I know it's my 5th, but I promise this is where it stops. Yeah, let me
it's
take
not
it.
going to be that much of a problem.
Yeah, you've got the entire left map. Come on, man, just give me this one. And then the moment you get this one, it's like pop, pop, pop. These command centers, they pop out of the ground like mushrooms, and suddenly it's Maru's playground, right? And then it feels he becomes unbreakable. But we've also seen where, from Dark, that you can do something about it. Even if they get 4 or 5 bases, that's where you say, all right, stop, this is it, and no more. I will no longer let you grow. And then you don't have that gas.
That's one of the the main solutions, I guess, in every single meta that involve Terran camping and taking it slow, taking it to the late game, and usually using Ravens as the late game unit is not allowing them to get those extra bases, those extra extractors that make a lot of difference. Back in the days, Innovation was somebody that would play like this, and we've seen a lot of games involving him and Sue, for instance, where like the entire focus of the game was you can have 4 bases, but no more. You need to stay on those 4 bases, and I need to exploit the lack of mobility by trading over and over again. We'll see if that guy in the top right will be able to do that, or if we will go into a massive late game scenario for Canada. He is Jake.
Could very well become the MVP for Canada in this tournament if we'll see more of him and if he can show up more today. But for now, let's see what the Hungarian captain has in store for us. He said he felt quite confident against Zerk. Well, let's see, Funka.
Yep.
It's PSZ.
It's time to show us what you got in store for us, PSZ.
That's awfully close to PSV.
And PSG.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, if you would swap the G from Jake with the Z from PSV.
Yeah, it works. It works. Paris Saint-Germain, it's here.
I've got a funny story for you guys at home. Well, obviously, East March is a very big map, and so far the openings are very macro-oriented, so we've got a little bit of time. We're at the O Gaming office here, guys. It's been the same location as the last
oh my God, I know
3
where
years
this is
for
going.
me. But normally we're on the 1st floor, and now we're like basically on the 4th floor of this building. And we can stand outside, and there's a little staircase, and I'm like, hey guys, and they're like, yeah. And I'm talking to Funka, I'm talking to someone else. It's like, can you see the Eiffel Tower from here? Because I looked around it, but it's a staircase. It's a circle, so I didn't see everything. And one guy's like, nah, I don't think so. It's too far away, man. I was like, oh, okay. And I asked the other guy, and he's like, well, it did happen once. Like, basically, he was describing a unicorn, like, it happened once, but everything has to be perfect. I was like, oh, okay. And I walk a little bit in this circle staircase, and I look to my right, and what do I see? The freaking Eiffel Tower, clear as day, towering over the rest of the city, like by far the biggest building right in front of me. I'm like, what the hell, guys? And they're like, oh, yeah, I guess you can see it. I was like, oh my God, you fake Parisians. This is the most ridiculous thing ever.
We are nerds. We don't go outside that much. We don't know where the Eiffel Tower is. Now, but I would like to explain that what you said about the 1st floor and the 3rd floor makes a lot of difference because there is so many side blockers on the 1st floor that you can't see the Eiffel Tower. But I guess my geography of Paris is kind of bad.
I just love how you guys like, you can see it on a big clear day, and it's like, it's right there. I can almost touch it.
It's so huge.
As this Reaper from PSG makes his way to the other side of the map and gets the first drone.
Yep. So that means no early 3rd, and actually it looked like this drone wanted to go for the gold base on the north side. We'll see if he's going to go for the normal one this time.
He could get a second kill here.
He could get the second kill. I think I agree with the positioning that he tried with this drone, like going back a little bit and having to go through the Zerglings. He's going to get it. No.
PSG though with some solid micro, but in the end, the Reaper lives, but the drone at least gets the job done. But that's some pretty solid Reaper control.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, PSG came in this game to play, and he came to, make a difference and maybe push it 2-2 between Hungary and Canada. That would be a really cool story.
Misplaced. No,
okay. Now he goes for a tech lab on the stopwatch. We've seen a lot of Ravens. Are we gonna see Viking and maybe Cloak at the same time? That's one of the openings that are possible in this game. Also, you can expect that Overlord to just dart in and try to get some scouting going. So maybe you can bluff the guy with a cloak that you're not gonna use. For now, Tech Lab is not being used at all. And not scouted
Doesn't
by
even
the
scout it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, now the cloak starts. But it
Is
doesn't
it
tell
real
us.
though? Yeah, it really is impossible for us to predict. Now he cancels cloak already. It's going to be a Liberator after the Viking as well, so that's actually an interesting combination. He doesn't send out, oh, he's got the cool Viking skin. I think he's been watching the broadcast. He's like, you know what? I'll give those nerds what they want. I was talking about how cool that skin is.
Yeah, it is kind of cool. Looks like Star Wars in a way.
Yeah, that's what I said.
X-wing kind of thing.
But Blizzard won't like that. Nah,
Too late.
everyone loves Star Wars, right? Especially the Phantom Menace, great movie. The only one I watch.
Oh my god, people are gonna hate on you so much. Even
I've
though that
made
was
that joke.
clearly a joke.
Like people, I've made that joke so many times that people like by now know that it's like it's
Okay.
Roddy, it's just a joke. But I actually really like the Phantom Menace. That was a great movie.
I can't believe how much like you can be the greatest and the worst at the same time,
Man,
Roddy.
dude, those pod races, they were awesome. Do you remember that pod
Yeah,
race game on the
I do
Nintendo
remember.
64? Like,
I didn't play this one though, but I
Oh.
do remember the scene in the movie. Though.
that's great. Little Anakin, what a guy.
Yeah, before he turned into a huge villain. Spoiler alert. 2 barracks. So we will be playing Bio, but considering Steam has been halfway done, I could have told you that before. Factory is right now used as a as a reactor factory. Like it's just building add-ons over and over again to swap them out with the barracks. Double eBay will go in, and he's actually going to go YOLO with the Hellions on the natural, while the Liberator sieges up in the main.
The run by not really working out though. I
With the
almost felt
Liberator?
what he wanted there is that for the Liberator to push the drones toward the right side. He could have put it like maybe one more patch to the right,
Yeah.
and then the Hellions drive into the main while the drones are stacking up, and then get the juicy shots out. But unfortunately for PSG, the Hellions kind of got stuck there, right? Good defense though by Jig. I'm a little bit surprised that if he wants to play a style like this, why did he play Eastwatch? Like everything he's been doing so far, I feel like would have a lot more potential on a slightly smaller map.
Yeah, I don't know if that's... Yeah, I can agree with you. Like, playing like standard Bio, even though like he goes for something rather aggressive with his first factory and starpot units. Yeah, this map to me screams like split map situations, mech, and slow-paced game. So maybe not the best map to pick from on the side of PSG.
Like I feel like he could do a very similar build like this on a map like Backwater, and then you get 3-3 bases. You can build your command center on location, and there is a good chance that your aggression it arrives a little bit faster. So perhaps it can do even more damage.
I also feel it's kind of hard to play Bio on Backwater, considering how easy it is to creep out. Like when you play against Lingbane Hydra, for instance, like the mid-game portion of the game can be quite tricky, but obviously like the style is not unusable. And
no, but like for instance, like the build he did, right? Like if he does that on Catalyst, it arrives so freaking fast.
I agree.
We've seen games literally end there, right? Where Zerg players are like, okay, I actually just wasn't ready for that. You lose 18, 19 drones, and that's pretty much game over. On Eastwatch, it takes a little longer, but I don't want to talk him out of the game, guys. I think he's had he's finding some damage here and there. I just don't think this is the start that PSG was dreaming of, because I look at the drone count of Jig and it's 80. Well, it was.
That's the reason that he actually accepts to lose drones, because he had so many of them anyways. So now we're going into the kind of pushes that we expected on this map. Tank just tucked down behind the wall and trying to abuse the
he's in range of the rocks with his tank as well. How crazy is that?
Oh yeah, he could take them down.
Yeah,
is he gonna go for it?
I don't think
that
he
would
wants
be
to.
super smart though.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to take the risk that he misfires. This Liberator has been MVP so far. Suddenly, it makes a little bit more sense what PSG was going for. I would really like to see him work on these rocks.
Yep. That would block the army, and even though most of the army is on the 4th base, on the gold base, he could probably bounce back to the other side of the map, maybe accelerate a little bit with a double drop to the right side.
There's a drop alert morphing. I'd love to see where that is. We just had it finish up. Okay, so what is he exactly gonna do here? We're gonna try to drop some Zerglings on top of those tanks.
Yeah, that could be. Queens are also pretty decent at this. We'll see what he does with it.
Queens would make sense. Lings and Banes not really getting too much down. Queens are overextending a tiny bit. One Queen gets picked up very quickly. The tank's getting some good hits off there on those Zerglings. Look at that, Bloodbath. Shout out to Pick.
Bloodbath, and at the same time, double drop to the right side with 2 tanks. He's going to try to hide the Marines behind the protection of those tanks. That actually works pretty well right now. The targeting on the other side has been missed a little bit on the
But
tanks,
look
and
at-
obviously didn't pick up the units.
Jake was floating a lot of money though, clearly under a lot of pressure. He just fired up 10 mutas. Does he have any banelings left? I'm sure there's a couple, right?
Yeah, only 9 actually.
I'm not sure where they are. This gold base, man, PSG is pedal to the metal right now. He's really executing this all quite well. He's been doing some damage, more units being rallied or flown towards the other side of the map now, and he's still bouncing back and forth. Now we do have that queen drop unfolding. That's a cute little move by Jig as well. I like it.
Yeah, that's really smart, but one thing I'm not really sure I agree with is those mules, because he's not in a perfect position. I mean, if he was macroing a little bit better, considering he's got 1,600 minerals in the bank, maybe he would be in a better position. He also has like a lot of drones, which explains also because,
he's been losing
money.
quite a few though,
But
right?
he's
Like he had
losing a lot
82.
of, yes, he's losing a lot of drones, losing a lot of units. Those queens will intercept that medivac, but he needs to stabilize, and Mutalisks are not the best units at stabilizing when you are under a lot of pressure, but if you can lower the amount of drops that are crossing the map, then suddenly mutas make a lot of sense.
Man, these Hungarian Terrans are reckless with their medivacs. I just see them like suiciding them left, right, and center. But at the same time, PSG still feels like he has a little bit of momentum, and he wants to go for another drop. As at the same time, there is that drop on the right bottom side as well, trying to get a little bit of work done. Muta's gonna jump on top of these medivacs, and this tank is actually not gonna be able to get the damage done that PSG was looking for. Just when I felt that PSG had momentum, it feels that Jig is shutting down every attack at this point and has finally stabilized.
Yeah, and thanks to those Mutalisks, so kudos to me for saying that the Mutalisks were a little bit greedy, because they're actually helping him tremendously in stabilizing in this game because of how aggressive PSG is with his drops. Let's see if those Zerglings with the 2-2 upgrades can do something about that planetary fortress in the making. He will just pull back for now.
I like the mines though. Do we have how many factories do we have? Do we have a factory with a reactor still as well?
Yeah, double factory.
Ah, yeah. I mean, he's going to be able to produce a lot of mines. And against his Muta-Link Bane style. Thor in the mix as well. I mean,
old school double factory, tech lab and reactor. You get the drilling claws, you get the mines, you get the Thors.
27 Banelings being morphed at this point for Jig. Jig actually likes to go for big attacks right when he fires up the hive, which is an interesting combo. He's going to squeeze out 10 extra drones as well, just to make sure, I guess, to saturate all those extractors. He's taking that crucial base in. Well, actually, it's already finished up in the middle of the map. Damn, that went fast.
That went up fast, and that means that Jig is
where are the
in
mines?
a really
are the
good
mines?
position economically speaking. Oh, there's a like a bit of a Mutalisk harass on the north side, so it's actually going to pull most of the army, while the Banelings are actually going to go right in front of that planetary fortress. He's going to kill that orbital in the making. The PF explodes, and the SCVs will get evacuated. But that's a really good target that Jig just took down.
Yeah, very well done by Jig, using the Mutas as a distraction maneuver. Still finding some damage as well. Those Mutas really not working out for him, Funka?
Jig is playing a perfect game right now. Strategically speaking, tactically speaking, is pulling a masterclass on how to play that Mutaling Bane TVZ. Get the door. He gets it, and the Mutalist should be able to just evacuate smoothly. Really good showing from Jig. I'm liking this Mutal play. But once again, like 2 Thors just shoot and you lose 8 Mutalisks. Like, that's the reason we're not using those units anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean, Jig is saving up. He's throwing down at Ultra then. Obviously, he's going to spend some of his money. Could maybe even fire the 3-3 upgrades up as his hive has just finished up. Or maybe he wants to save some of his gas, but he just made 41 Banes. But I mean, Jig is playing very macro heavy, right? He just goes up to a crazy amount of drones, and it really feels that if you don't punish him quick enough, like I feel the style that PSG played, I felt it was really good for a while. And he had a couple of cute, let's say, like tank positionings and drops, but it is hard to pull this kind of a style off on the Eastwatch, man.
Yep. And it looked good until he gave away so many medivacs with units inside. Reading close. Those 2 Widow Mines. Ooh, that was close.
Oh my goodness. A lot of SCVs go down. The orbital gets obliterated as well. And Jig is just trading out. He's trying to get the wraparound to give his last few Banelings some good connections as well. But an absolute bloodbath once again.
Yeah.
Can PSG do something in the counterattack?
He has a window. He has a window of opportunity. 98 army supply against the 78, but most of it is in eggs. I believe those are Ultralisks that are here. Yeah, 6 Ultralisks and the adrenal gland as well as the chitinous plating. So
the Mutas.
Most of the investment is still not on the field yet. So he might have to sacrifice this space just for the sake of winning the game in general. So that would be the greatest call, I believe, from Jake.
Yeah. But his own, the own economy for PSG has been taking so many hits, though, right? Only 43 SCVs, lost one of his orbitals as well, lost the planetary, lost that additional command center he was building. And so it almost feels like he can't do the right thing here. If he runs in like a madman and he gets sniped by a couple of banelings, you know, or Banes connect to his marines, we're like, oh, come on, too ruthless. But if he waits, that economy of Jig just keeps on going. And Jig, like, for a while, I was, you know, saying like, okay, he's probably saving up money a little bit. He is actually having some trouble spending his minerals.
Exactly.
Right?
I think he's got a problem in terms of injects in general because he's got a lot of hatcheries, but he's not able to just produce the units that he needs. And right now, you don't want to lose those Ultralisks because that's most of your army right now.
Fighting before kindness was a little bit ballsy, wasn't it? I mean, he took a lot of damage. Normally, it's hard to get Ultras that low. PSG still with a army, you look at it and you're like, is the dream alive? I mean, you look at the bank and you say, nah. That's not financial fair play, but I mean, I look at his army and I'm like, okay, perhaps a couple Widow Mines, a little bit of kiting, a Tor and a Dream. I don't know. I've seen crazier things.
Yeah, it's possible. It's still possible, and especially when you're that Ling heavy and there's mines on the ground. But the thing is, those 5 Widow Mines would just connect with a couple of Zerglings and will be taken down.
Almost
by
a shame he just left
them
them behind like that, right? What was the point there?
Well, I guess there's a lot of things going through his mind. He's still trying to gather a 4th base for the 3rd time in this game.
I don't think that this is the moment where he wants to split up his army. I actually think that Jig has too much for that. And now with Ultras and Kindness as well, I mean, if you want to do multi-prong, you're going to have to pay attention to your Marines. You're going to have to micro your heart out, and there is one big cow that's like, come over here.
One single Ultralist that will take down your drop. You're like, that's my way of getting back to the game.
This is really good positioning, right? It's like, nope, no. Ultra, not care.
I'm an Ultralist.
Oh, Widowites!
Okay, they will connect quite decently and ignoring the armor of those Ultralisks, but there is not that many units, and it's mostly Marines, which are not dealing that much damage to Ultralisk right now. He needs to kite. He will take down one Ultra, but at the same time, Corruptor taking care of the Medivacs. But now, some more Marauders, and that's a lot of Ultralisks going down, but every single time, the Ultra swings. That's like 10 supply that dies for PSG.
It's like, yeah, that's really good micro. Swap. It's like,
I like your micro.
Yeah.
What about my Kaiser Blades?
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of goals on the way now. I am actually surprised that he managed to squeeze those out. Still microing as well. Unfortunately, all of the Medivacs have disappeared because of these Corruptors. Jig still sitting on a pretty comfortable back. Everywhere we look, there is just a random Ultra chasing down Marines. And that's what I mean, right? Like, you don't really want to split up your army. Ooh, Ghosty Boy.
No!
You're supposed to peel.
Oh my god. Where's the pew-pew?
Why didn't you peel?
Okay, one pew.
Pew.
Oh, he tried to
he
save
got all 3, and he gets the Marines as well, and the Marauder.
Hero Ultralisk, and now let's, you want to meet my other 4 friends?
Yeah.
You've seen what I can do with only one Ultralisk. Now there's 4 of them. Yeah, that's looking rough for PSG. 87 supply against 179, and I know Todd is not with us, but he wants you to look at it.
Oh, Todd is looking at it right now.
Oh yeah, of course he's looking at it. He's like, oh my god, there's no way in hell this Terran is gonna take down such a massive army with so less supply than his opponents.
Oh my goodness, what a way to perhaps end this game here for Jig, who will take the 3-1 lead for Team Canada. As PSG made him work very hard for it, but Jig's macro, man. There's a reason why I all in this game at this guy every second game, because otherwise he goes, he's dancing units as well. Jig showing some cheekiness. Now the Marines are dancing along. That's a very interesting tango if I've ever seen one.
GG. Jig takes the lead 3-1 for his country. Canada not looking too bad.
No, not at all. That makes me wonder who is going to be, as Hajin has rejoined us, who is going to be the ace player for Hungary?
That's a good question. What do you think, Hajin? Do you have an opinion on this one?
I'd say Robbie G.
Yeah, you like the Robbie G?
Yeah. But actually, the games are longer than we expected.
Yeah.
So are you enjoying the games? Like, how do you find so far?
Absolutely. I really enjoy watching Jig, because I don't see a lot of Jig in like competitive events, maybe like a WCS Montreal, you'd be like, okay, that's kind of close, but other than that, just don't see him that often. But then I play London and I run into him like every second game. I was like, why do I always see you here but not there? And I think that Jig is just a really good player. He's a very fun dude as well, so I'm very happy to see him playing. I think he's playing great. It could even be better, right? He's definitely floating perhaps a tiny bit too much. Like, I understand he was saving for Mudas and then saving for Ultras. But a few times, you know, it's like, hey, you could really have like either an extra hatch now or maybe get like a static defense or two to make your life a little bit easier.
It looks like, there was way to spend that money, and like he could make investment into more hatcheries to get that money spent a little bit faster. Or as you said, like it will help, especially against a Terran that likes to drop as much as PSZ did. Going for static defenses is not a bad idea at all.
Nope. Those Banes as well doing some really serious work, getting the planetary, taking care of that tank as well. And at this point, this was just messy, man. Like, look at those Banes and Tors, but Jig is like, ha, I'm rich, you're not. Let's get a few more SCVs, another orbital for all I care. And even though that, this little Ultra guy. Look at this, one. Then he eventually gets the second one, even though that one does get a peel off.
Yeah, he will hit a snipe, but that's not going to stop him at all.
And now, look at those Marines. They're like, oh come on. He got all 5.
Yeah, they were all like 5 HP indeed. And that's about it. That's the last fight of the game. Fireworks in the middle lane. That's what Zerg dreams are made of.
Yeah, no, that's actually satisfying to watch. I always enjoy watching those little drilling claws from the SCVs being like all over it, like see the bodies going up in the air and stuff.
I hate it. It gives me nightmare. But
I mean, I've seen it in all your rehearsals. This is a long story, guys, but at every single WCS event, Fonka has to test the computers, and there's literally not been a moment ever that we didn't run by Fonka's PC and there is a command center floating and it's on fire. This like became an ongoing meme, but it's so true. It always happens.
Oh, you're so mean to me.
I have the feeling that
sometimes I win games, man.
Yeah, I believe it, but not during
events.
Not during the rehearsals.
No, never, never. I also don't have the sound of the game during rehearsals, so that makes it harder.
So that makes 3-1, and we have some interesting tweets here.
Go Jake, go Jake, go Bayos, go Canada. Gotta, happy fan.
Sharing.
Happy fan. Oh, Salila.
Canada brings me back to when I was active in SC2. Jake, about to go on a tier, I can feel it.
Well,
so people are rooting for
felt it.
Jake. Yeah.
He felt it, and he felt it all right.
Jig is a very likable guy. He's totally okay to root for. We should have some more, guys. Hashtag NW5. Send us your tweets. Tweet at us. Tweet us at Belvorks.
Tweet us at with pictures and everything.
Also dog pictures, guys. Every year we've got a tradition. You guys got to get the dog pictures in for Roddy.
Of course.
And memes. Roti likes memes.
Yeah.
I like the occasional meme. I'm not like a full-time memer, but I'm definitely okay with the occasional meme. But dog pictures, any given moment.
Canada still in the favor of the public, 52%, but still a lot of hope for Hungary. 48.
So, what do you think, Robbie G?
I do agree with that. I think Robbie G might be the good call. I think PSZ was quite impressive as well. But just in general, considering he was the one to get a map win for his team, I think Robbie G makes sense.
Okay. All right. I still think PSZ played very good. And I think on maybe a smaller map, he can make it happen. Well, we're about to find out in 30 seconds.
Well, yeah, PSZ is a captain, so maybe he wants to play again until he revived.
Maybe he wants to take the fate of his country in his own hands. I don't know. Like, we don't really know what goes into their mind. Like, is it like... Is somebody screaming louder than anybody else, or is the captain taking the responsibility?
Interesting to ask them how they choose who's going to get revived.
But they need to win for them to have an interview, though.
Yeah, of course. So maybe they're gonna do.
Maybe the reverse.
So it's gonna be Robbie G.
Okay.
As you said. So so are you excited? It might be the next the last game actually of the day. So how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I predicted a 4-2, so I think we need 2 more games because then I would have nailed it every 3 series. And
that would have been amazing.
I'm retiring. That would actually be pretty impressive, right?
Yeah.
Like if you get the exact score, you don't think so?
That's not happening.
I mean, Jig is very good, but Jig is also my bro. So Jig, maybe
maybe drop one out for bro.
Maybe a 12 pool. Let no regret play a game. No, I think maybe on a map like Catalyst, we haven't seen Catalyst in this series yet, right?
Yep.
So maybe some Robbie G Catalyst. It's possible.
Why not? So we'll be back after a short break with the game G against Robbie G. It might be the last game of the day. So stay with us. and welcome back to the studios here, from where we can actually see the Eiffel Tower by the window.
Yes, we can.
So I'm here with Funka and Zombie Grub to cast maybe the last game of the day.
It could be.
So it's gonna be Jig against Robbie G. What do you think?
I mean, Robbie G has been impressive in his ZVT match. It was the only victory from Hungary. I think he has the skills to beat Jig, but also, like, I like Jig's style, and I think he's on a roll right now, so it's going to be tough to take him down.
Yeah, I agree with that. The momentum has really ramped up for Jig. He played a couple of really solid games, so like it's really like warmed up, ready to go against Terran, and he's already faced this guy, so I think it's going to go well for Canada.
All right, yeah, which would mean that would be the last game of the night if he were to take this one on Catalyst. So, as we can see, slightly Zerg favored in the matchup, but not by a wide margin, 47.4. But, well, 47.4 victory ratio for Terran. But I don't know, like, it's just an aggressive map. Can we expect Jig to switch it up? Like, he's been going for double Evo upgrades and even mutas? Like, do we see, like, a Roach Ravage or something?
Wasn't it against RPG that he had, like, that counter after dealing with the double drop? Yeah. I actually think that he could really hone in on that, because Robbie G, actually, like, all the Terran players seem to have these, like, odd, old-fashioned build orders that kind of rely on that. So, I mean, it didn't quite win the victory, but it did put him into a good position. So I'm expecting kind of something like that again. Just good reads and good reactions.
All right. And this guy in the top left, he could make it for his team and qualify them to the round of 16, representing Canada. He is Jig.
And in the bottom right, as the only victor so far in this Nation War, it is the blue Terran, Robbie G.
Can he make it 2 victories for Hungary?
Oh,
Cheeky Robbie G for that last game. Gonna go for a double Rax Marine.
Yeah.
And obviously a build order that gets a lot of attention these days, because apparently a cute little guy named Maru made $200,000 on the back of this strategy. But it looks like it's gonna get scouted.
I mean,
for now, if the Overlord doesn't move, as Kevin is showing us, I don't think he will see it.
Awfully close.
Oh,
I feel like it would see like the SCV.
He will see it.
He'll see an SCV. It's already enough. That's Jig knew. Jig knew that something was happening, and now the jig is up.
Oh damn!
I went there.
Yeah, you went there, but it's okay. It's okay. We like those. We like those. So that's a really far away bunker, and I think that's a good adaptation from Robbie G, considering he's been scouted so early. That second bunker should get destroyed by the drones. Well, it's actually kind of close.
I love that. This is obviously not Robbie G's first time T-Raxing. That SCV stuck near that rock and couldn't be attacked. Otherwise, it'd already be dead.
Damn.
That's
it's looking
clever.
good for Robbie G, because he pulled 6 drones, Jig that is, and he's gonna have that bunker going up. This is terrible for Canada, terrible for Jig right there. He will probably lose the hatchery. Well, like, and my probably is not a probably.
Yeah.
He will lose that hatch.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to have to... I don't think he has the means to do anything about that, but it is about the follow at this point. It's really unfortunate, though, when you scout the T-Rax, and I guess it wasn't the fastest scout possible, but it was still a scout on it. Usually the drone pool is just too much. The bunker actually getting up is huge. And now Jig even trying to go past the bunker loses him the majority of the lings, so what can they really do on the other side of the map? I mean, if he's not on a Baneling Nest, that's still a possibility, but no Baneling Nest to Master Pair will do the trick.
He's not harvesting any gas. He just stopped after 112 gas, which was a slight mistake, but, well, we're not going to be too critical of Jig's play, because he's been under a lot of pressure because of that original 2 racks. Now, a Spine Crawler finished. He's going to try to put it down next to the hatchery, but that's not going to save it, and already the number of Marines is quite uncontrollable. Like, 11 Marines on the field, soon to be 13, and the counterattack didn't work at all. The hatchery will fall as expected, and even though that Spine Crawler is pretty well placed, like, Robbie G doesn't have to really finish the game right there. He already secured a really great advantage in his game for himself.
I think it's always nice when you can get the lings across the map, even if you know it's going to be a supply depot wall, just to get SCVs off the line. Like, one SCV per supply depots is actually kind of a bit, especially if they aren't doing so with the 2 racks. But this clearly worked out. It got the hatchery as intended. It even had a drone pull, plus a lot of lings were killed trying to run past. Like, it's an effective 2 racks. We'll see if Jig has a master plan to bring it back. He did at least save most of his drones, and eventually those bunkers will be broken, but at a huge cost.
Interesting that he allowed the depot to bring back the SCVs in, but at the same time let the Zerglings in as well. So might lose an SCV because of that. Yes, this one will fall. But yeah, situation is still not looking that good for Jig. Is he going to try to take the fight to the bunker? No, he's thought about it. He's not going to go for it, and that's already GG. The 2 racks. It's working quite well these days in StarCraft 2, Jess.
Yeah. I wonder what would have happened if it was the first Overlord that saw the 2 racks instead of the second one. You know, then you pull a single drone and kill an SCV, and it's like, the Terran actually just sits there and is like, should I just GG now? Like, I don't know. But it was the second one, and the bunker positioning was obviously well practiced, and a little bit of luck, RNG with that SCV.
Yeah, of course, but you need to have RNG on your side if you want to be like a great Terran player. Like me personally, my SCV always goes in front of the drones, dies. Like if a probe is harassing me, the SCV will fall in love with the probe and just want to, you know, be as close as possible to it. So, you know, that's stuff that happens, but that's actually good for Hungary because they needed that victory to stay alive in this game. And suddenly, we've got a pretty, you know, decisive series on our hands, or actually, well, at least a competitive series on our hands, and we will get to see some designated pressure.
Yes, we will. There he is, man himself, but not from No Regret. This is a tweet from Joe. There's a lot of cheese at Alpheus. Go on fire, no regret.
Fighting. Or fighting.
Yep.
Should I say?
Also, Nerd Street Gamers. That is No Regrets team. So, Joe's hoping he represents him well.
And we will see him play because he's the only player remaining in the Canadian lineup. So obviously, Jake, right? That's Jake.
Yeah.
Jake. Jake, we get to play in that last game. Well, I predicted a 4-0. I honestly didn't anticipate anything from the Hungarian lineup. I didn't know the players that well, so I just expected probably Jake to start and probably all kill the entire team. But 3-2.
Well, and
it's
as
tough.
Maybe Rotterdam is gonna be right again with this 4-2. I mean,
so now I'm cheering for 4-3. I suppose.
Yeah.
Rowdy can't gloat that much, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be impossible to work alongside him. It was like 100% on the first day. No.
Well, so you know, we had that interview, and Jake said he didn't even want to come out. He was like, you know, if I have to, then there's something wrong. I gotta whip these guys into shape, and he has to come out now, and it's like. Was it 6 in the morning, I suppose, in Korea? And he's been awake the entire time, apparently. There's a legitimate chance that, one, Robbie G would have been good enough anyways to withstand the designated pressure. And that, two, now that it is 6 in the morning, he's super tired. He said he doesn't really want to play. That he actually just wins this game and takes it to an ace match.
Yes.
That'd be crazy.
I think it's highly possible. Like, I mean, I said it after the interview. My perception of the Hungarian team changed. But now, after all these games, it changes further. And I'm like... Yeah, this could definitely happen. Canada could go down.
What do you expect that could come from Robbie G? Do you think like he understands the fact that it's late and so he doesn't have to go for something too cheeky, like he doesn't go for 2 racks again, just plays his own game?
Well, okay, actually I have to think of like...
Defensively speaking, like he has to wait for all-ins coming from
I mean, if you 2 racks the cheeser, it's the faster cheese.
Yeah, it's no, I'm not going to try that. I thought of something and I was like, nah, it's not going to work.
Just passing whatever that was.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know what he plans on doing, and the map is going to have to say as well. Like, what do we have left?
I think we haven't played
Neon. No, we played Neon.
Backwater. We haven't played.
Backwater. Okay, all right.
Eastwatch?
And then
Eastwatch
we just played Eastwatch 2 games ago, but
well, okay. Not remembering which maps are left over.
Yeah, that's a tough goal. Like, and we put it on ourselves, like asking, like,
why would you do that?
You know, I have to think now. So
have we played on Abiogenesis yet? Is basically my question. No.
We
did.
Oh, okay.
Play
Yes, actually, yeah, I remember I cast that game. So, okay, that was basically my question. So I didn't have to put so much pressure on, but I don't know if he 2-racks again. Like that catalyst positioning the
Yeah.
shortness of the map. Like,
Yeah.
it works out really well.
No, I agree with you. I think like in Robbie G's shoes, probably you don't go for something that aggressive. You just go for like a normal game plan. If you wanna make your opponent go crazy, considering how late it is, you just play a campy style and you just wait it out.
Turtle mech.
Like turtle mech for 40 minutes. You're like, yeah.
Dude, totally possible.
Come at me with your designated pressure. I've got 12 tanks and 13 planetaries.
And the nice thing about mech is that you generally don't stop Hellion production. Because I feel like that's really what No Regret's so good at finding. Because it is a lot of his builds are Ling Baneling. Like, I'll talk about other Zergs and say how they have so many trick builds. Nidus All-Ins, Ling Baneling, Fast Mutas. But it's like, Jake is like, usually Ling Baneling.
Yeah.
I
like
feel
to burst down walls.
Yeah, the reason that he wins a lot of the time is that either they over defend and they get like nervous or something and like they just like,
Let's build
stop.
7 eBays and 3 bunkers. And
Or they stop building Hellions because they're doing a normal build, 4 to 6 Hellions, and then onto my barracks, and then oh no, I'll buy a Baneling bus. Hopefully a bunker's enough. No, it's not. Oh gosh, darn, I lose. And when you go mech, that's actually not such a possibility sometimes.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It is a lot on what Jake's going to do. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah. But I think Robbie G showed like definitely that he had the skills to take down a player like No Regret. Like even in the macro game, he showed some really, really good stuff.
You know what's interesting though? We haven't had to talk about this dynamic in a while because the 2-1-1 just fell out of favor. But the 2-1-1 is very different build, bio-based, not Hellions, and that seems to be what he likes. Does he change it up? Does he do the factory version again? Or does he do the barracks version? Because that did hold all-ins. There was definitely a finesse to it. It's not as like, Hellions beat Lings, A plus B.
Yeah. But it can be quite tough. Like if really your your favorite build order is the 2-1-1, going in against such an aggressive player, I would say is taking a risk. Like, or you have to be like, well, I guess if it's your main build in TVZ, you probably know how to defend all-ins with it. But I just think like, considering what we know of No Regrets, maybe going for his build is just like, too risky.
It might be. When No Regrets sees a 2-1-1, it's more of a when than an if. Then there's that really nice attack that hits around 5 minutes as you pick up your medevacs.
Yep.
Like we haven't had to talk about this in like a year and a half, but that was a very common timing for Zergs.
Blind
and
counter, 5:15. I burst down the wall. Every single Marine is in the air. What you gonna do?
Yeah, I'm positive No Regret knows that. So I don't know if Robbie G is going to be able to either play the way that he wants, or if he does, is he going to get like stabbed in the back for it? But we are on backwater, so good thing that's the map we chose to talk about.
Yeah, good thing, and that's a good map. I feel like for if you do plan on going for something slow and steady and defensive, I guess backwater is pretty good for that. It's also a decent map to play that mech play that I mentioned, even though Robbie G didn't show us that. But it's also like I feel a tough map to play in TVZ as a Terran player because of the way the map is built in general, and the creep goes everywhere. You've got those 3 free bases. I don't know. I expect a lot of things, but we are waiting on the strategy that's going to be chosen by this guy. In the bottom right, he's the last hope of Canada before a potential revive. Playing from Korea, but representing Canada, it's No Regrets.
In the top left, as the blue Terran, shocking us all, it is Robbie G. Well, maybe not the Terran pro gamers that seem to know how cool this guy is, but certainly surprised me. Now has 2 victories under his belt, so a great freshman year, shall we say, for Hungary.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And also, I know this doesn't make that much sense, but I like his nickname. I think it sounds good.
Robbie G.
Robbie G.
What is it, that saxophone player's name? Kenny G.
Kenny G?
That's what it reminds me
Kenny
of. Whenever I
G.
hear Robbie G, I just imagine some saxophone player that's kind of like trying to be cool. He's like, yo, I'm Robbie G.
Yeah.
Here's some sax
It's just
beats.
a G at the end. It's like, Tony P, Robbie G, whatever. It's like, I don't know. It's got a nice ring to it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, so Atchkas pool for a good old No Regrets. So nothing out of the ordinary. Not gonna skip on the on the Reaper.
That's a fair call.
Robbie G is like, okay, I know you tend to be aggressive, so you know what? My command center is gonna be in the main.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do about it?
He did this on Abiogenesis, which I remember that much at least, and I just wonder why not an SCV scout? It really does kind of the same thing, except that you can leave your command center in the low ground if it's if it is an early pool of some type, because I don't know if there's many other benefits. You still can scout if it's a Roach follow-up or a speed follow-up with an SCV, and then the Reaper, and I don't know, it's just this weird quirk of Robbie G.
Well, I guess, on paper it's not, the most effective tactic, but if he feels comfortable with it, at least the fact that he recognizes that there's something that could be super aggressive out of No Regrets or out of any Zerg player on Abiogenesis, I guess makes me feel comfortable in the fact that Robbie G knows what he's doing, and he still has a game plan. He's not on autopilot, right?
Yeah, no, he's not.
Being on autopilot against aggressive players is probably the worst thing that you could do.
Yeah.
Every time that I see somebody just playing greedy against Bly, I'm like,
why?
Guys,
why?
Come on. It's 2018. Do something, We know about this guy.
We did have Robbie G scout the third base, which is a given on Backwater. It has a Reaper hop-up spot, but it's always like, does it have any drones, which is always the harder part to scout. We have speed finishing up for No Regret, a Baneling Nest about halfway done. Robbie G did go for the factory version of the 2-1-1, so he has Hellions. It's a question of, does he continue making Hellions? 4 Hellions with perfect control, sure, they can do anything, but really 6 or 8 is where you get comfortable against a Ling Flood.
Ooh, those Zerglings haven't been scouted by this Reaper, I believe. Well, at least the majority of them haven't been seen. Robbie G is not going to micro that Reaper. He will lose it in the end, which means no way of knowing whatever is happening on the opposite side of the map. But for now, Robbie G is just keeping every single Hellion in the main. And that looks really, really tough for No Regret to actually break him. But for now, no Banelings, just, pure Zerglings that are going to try to do as much damage as possible. He will get some Marines for his trouble and a couple of SCVs.
I'm surprised he's dedicating. The Hellions, when they're obviously being controlled, they're not surrounded. Okay, he was going to try and surround them. It's really dangerous to try and get the Lings on top. No Regret tries and fails.
Yep, and he just gave away the entirety of his Zergling flood. 35 went down, only 1 goes back to tell the tale. Guys, it was hell back there. They've got flamethrowers. It's not good for us.
It's no-go zone, man.
Yeah, it's no-go zone. But interestingly enough, we've got a super quick lair because he didn't build a single Baneling, so he had the gas to go back into a standard game plan, I guess.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he gets
Speed Bane.
Yeah, he's gonna get an upgrade. It looks like
+1 carapace, and we go again.
Maybe. I mean, I feel like what became popular with Scarlet's victory, and actually no, it was I think it was her in both tournaments, but maybe it was like Rogue or someone. That +1 attack as they transition away into a third base. That was something powerful shown in Pyeongchang and Katowice, but this isn't that. Like, he already used so many Lings that I feel like if that is his follow-up plan, is just a good old-fashioned +1 Ling Baneling all in, then there's actually going to be sufficient army for Robbie G. We'll see.
That'd be funny, actually, if it was that. Like, if it was another Baneling timing, but just slightly later. With a good upgrade, like Banelings, when they tend to go fast, it's harder to split, it's harder to target it down and avoid getting demolished and dealing a lot of AoE damage. Second Evo actually tells us that we should probably see something more conservative or macro-oriented.
Yeah.
Or he's trying to sell a story, but I don't see Robbie G scanning the main anytime soon. So
yeah, I think there's always something to be said about over-defending. If you build 7 bunkers, then the damage is already done in a lot of cases. And
like
Robbie
TY
G
at BlizzCon that lost the game.
Robbie, ooh, that's actually really great for No Regret to find all those Hellions. They last-minute transform, but they can do very much.
And now Robbie G must feel a little bit pressured. Like, he lost every single Hellbat that he had. There's still a lot of Zerglings on the way. Well, on the field. He saw them.
Oh, God. Oh, boy. So he started the second evolutionary by targeted Carapace, but his plan was to... Well, and this might have been because he killed the Hellions, but it's working out timing-wise regardless. +1 is almost done. Cervical hooks is done. The tank isn't out. Robbie G just has Marines.
Canada, can they make it happen? The Banelings connect super well, even though a couple of them have been saved, but 15 SCVs go down right away. And No Regret is dealing a tremendous amount of damage. This is looking super, super good for Canada right there. 95 supply against 55, but obviously 64 drones on the side of No Regret, who has a Hydra Den behind. Is feeling perfectly fine and comfortable in this game.
That's so bad that the Hellions are taken out.
So bad.
They will kite down a lot of those Lings. They turn into Hellbats and soak the rest of the Banelings with the supply depots. And of course, they alert him that this is on the way. They're around patrolling the map so that the tank, where the SCVs are pulled, the tank maybe is actually sieged in the high ground. But this, I think, is too much damage. If Robbie G's going to come back, it's going to be a real comeback story.
Yep. And I don't see it happening anytime soon. I mean, No Regret has got this game in the bag, and especially because he started transitioning. Like, if he was still on Link Bane and he was trying to push and push and push again and try to finish the game, then suddenly it could be bad. But yeah, we're looking at a game where Zerg has, well, almost like more than double the amount of workers on 3 bases, on 4 bases actually, with better upgrades, soon to be better upgrades. Infestation Pit if he has to go for it. Even a hatchery in the middle of the map. Cheeky, No Regrets.
Someone's very confident.
Yeah.
I should
Almost
be.
cocky.
It's a very cocky move, and maybe he'll regret it later, but...
Nah, you know he can't regret anything.
No, he doesn't have any regrets.
Yeah.
No regrets.
No regrets.
Well... I actually kind of want him to regret that now. I want that to be found and killed and then spiral into doom drops that kill him. just to show him what's up. But it's pretty unlikely. In fact,
you would smacking him in the face if he was there, if he was standing next to you. It's like, come on, dude.
Yeah. Oh man, what was like? I really feel there was a famous game where like. Maybe it was in Brood War, but maybe it was StarCraft 2 Pro League, where they actually, some Protoss player built like a bunch of Nexus. And
lost the game eventually.
And the coach had to come over and be like, never again. Never. Like, really mad at the guy.
It does ring a bell.
Yeah.
I think also back then, a very famous player that's not playing anymore, a Zerg player, did some hatchery, the Manor hatcheries against Naniwa and lost the game eventually. Back in IEM New York, I believe.
Oh my god,
it's been seen. And now Robbie G's like, okay.
Lift the buildings whenever you lose. That's what you do.
Put them in the corner. Make him work.
Make him stay up till 8 a.m. Oh, gosh. This looks like a Doom push.
Oh, yeah.
Robbie G is not going to be happy to see what is kind of blatant, confidence there.
Oh, No Regret wants to end it. Yes, I think Canada is going to qualify as the last team to qualify today for the round of 16. There is just way too much, and even though that tank is perfectly placed on the high ground, there's just too much. I think there's more Banelings, that there is SCVs, that there is Marines in this game, and that new tank will fall down as it comes out of the factory, but that natural will fall down to the Hydralisk. The 3rd base is condemned. GG, and Canada will qualify to the round 16.
No Regret does it in typical No Regret fashion. Lings and Banelings did the trick, just not at the timing we thought it would.
Yeah. He needed the centrifugal hooks and a pretty lucky, grab on the Hellions in the middle of the map.
Yes.
But also, it was a mistake by Robbie, I guess.
Yes, it was a mistake to have them just sitting there in the middle of the map. But it's also one of those weird things again, where his problem wasn't that he didn't continue making Hellions, that they got caught, but it's the same idea of like, I'm transitioning, so I don't need to worry about these things anymore. Yeah. Usually the Hellbats or Hellions are only good at as Hellbats, not against Ling Baneling Floods with +1. They would have been so helpful here.
No Regret showed like, I think like pretty decent intelligence in his build also, like the fact that he didn't go for Banelings on this one. Like I really expected him to, maybe because it's late, because like he wants to finish the game as fast as possible, that he would go for that Baneling attack even though Hellions were present. This could have been considered a misplay, trying to get the wraparound around the Hellions, but then like the perfection of his timing on the centrifugal hooks and the +1 attack, I believe, finished at the same time. Like he showed really, really great understanding of his own style and his own like way of destroying Terrans.
Yeah. That was a really nicely timed attack. There's not much more to say, like, other than he had the follow-up correct, and he also had the golden opportunity of killing the Hellions. Because he might have done that even with the Hellions, but it's a lot more questionable if it does the same amount of damage. Just the scout alone would have changed things.
It looked like he flipped the switch. Like,
yeah.
Okay, I got the Hellions. Let's do this.
Yeah.
I like my Banelings. Can we finish the game right now? But at least he took a massive advantage out of it.
Okay, so
sorry.
it's the end of the last series of this day, the first day. So we have 3 countries who's going to move on to the next stage. So it's United Kingdom, Norway, and now Canada.
I think, just in general, yeah, you could consider UK qualifying over Australia a little bit of an upset. We talked about it. We, touched the subject a little bit with Rotterdam earlier.
Yeah.
But I guess, like, if you look at the series, you look at the players that are in, I guess the UK qualifying is not that much of an upset, and for the rest, like, there is no question asked. I think everybody expected Canada, everybody expected Norway, but I guess the way it happened, and especially in that last match, quite harder than expected, I guess.
Okay, so let's have a quick interview with Norgret, who just qualified his team for the round of 16. Hello, Jake.
What's up?
So
I'm dying. I'm dying.
It's
I feel it.
7:30 actually.
We'll keep it short.
It's 7:30.
Congratulations, Jake. So,
Wow, thanks.
how do you feel? So, are you happy? Are you?
Yeah, I'm
exhausted.
pretty happy. I was actually super nervous. I was like, oh god, the 2 racks, it's tomorrow, it's coming out, and then Jig died to it, and I was like, well, guess I thought this was like a throwaway game for sure, though. I thought like, all right, we're gonna bring Jig back out to finish it off, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I ended up winning, so it was okay.
That was some nice designated pressure, man. I liked it.
Thank you. I've been working on it.
Yeah, well, that timing on the centrifugal hooks and the +1, that was amazing. But we were wondering, were you planning on doing it anyways, or just grabbing the Hellions make you flip the switch?
I think I was going to play a little bit more passively until I killed the Hellions, and then I was like, well, now I can be offensive because I don't really have to worry about Hellion run-bys or like that. You know, that Hellbat push is kind of where I was trying to be defensive for.
Mm-hmm.
Like the big Hellbat Marine push, it just didn't happen because all the Hellions died. So I was just like, okay, well, I can be aggressive here.
Yeah.
And then obviously after that, I was just too far ahead to lose.
Good job.
Yeah, it ended up being an absolutely perfect call. So you said that you thought that was going to be a throwaway game because you're tired, or because
kinda.
the early game lanes
well,
didn't work?
Well, okay, so everything is against me here. Everything. Okay, we got backwater, we've got ping. It's 7 a.m. You know, like we're trying to. Everything is against me. Like this is a struggle. No, it went okay. I actually felt like I was playing really well, even though at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens. I don't know why, but it happens. I certainly can't say that I was playing any worse than I would normally because of the time.
Yeah, it looked.
And
Well, it
we
looked
also
good.
played on with ping, so like it's harder for him too. You know.
Yeah.
So I would assume that's why the Hellions got surrounded in the middle of the map. Like, it's really hard to micro, so I don't, you know.
Okay.
Any comments on the Jig's performance? I think he looked really good. Like, do you have anything to say?
Jig played really well. Yeah. I was very happy that he played very well and, you know, showcased some really good games. And I was actually really happy that Hungary did so well too. Like the games were a lot better than I thought they would be.
Yeah.
Not to say that I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting I was certainly expecting them to take at least one game, but those games were all back and forth and they were all really close. And I was very happy to see that. And I was very happy to see all the support for Hungary, and I hope to see them do really well next season.
Okay, so are you
And I think they could with some preparation.
Yeah.
are you excited for the NationWars? I mean, how far can Team Canada go in this tournament?
It's like Team Canada's B team, so you know it's gonna be risky.
Don't say
We don't have
that.
Semper. We don't have. Well, I mean, like I was always the mascot, so I mean, you know, like you know,
Jake?
usually we had Semper and Scarlet, and then the mascot. But now we've got Jig and we've got Bywise. So I'm hoping like with preparation and you know we can slay the carries for the other teams like Neeb and whoever else is on that team, and you know like you know what I mean? Like there's always that one really good player. If we can just get through him, I think we can get through the series or through the
the heavy lifter
qualifying places.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so any last words to your fans or all the people watching?
Well, I would like to thank my team. I think my team did really well, and I'm very happy to be a part of it. There's actually a lot of history between me and BioIce. A lot of people don't know this, but we actually went to the same high school.
Oh,
And when I met BioIce, we were in a library and we were both playing StarCraft. He was Master Zerg and I was a Platinum Protoss. So I switched to Zerg because I wanted to learn more, and he taught me the 14-14.
Oh,
nice.
That's
Wow.
where we are today.
What a
That's
That's
where we
a
are
nice
today.
story.
and can I
Yeah,
add?
I wanted to
that-
share that story.
Can I add that Canadian libraries look amazing? Well, sound amazing if you can play StarCraft there, because usually I just read
yeah.
books at the library.
Good point.
Sometimes you can play in them, and sometimes the teacher gets angry at you. But StarCraft is life.
You were dodging the teacher in a way.
Yeah, I used to have like an Excel spreadsheet up, and I would just PP alt tab to the spreadsheet, make it look like I'm doing things, then I go back to StarCraft. It worked every time. And then they blocked BattleNet, and it was very sad. But for a good year and a half or 2 years, I was using the membrane keyboard in school. Worked.
Good job.
Nice. Well, congratulations on your victory and your qualification for the round of 16. So see you next week.
Good night, man.
Thank you.
Good night.
Yeah, good night.
Bye.
It's a bit late.
See you.
Ta-ta.
All right.
Okay, so let's take a look at the day one of the NationWars Season 5. So what happened? So we had 3 long series actually.
Yep. United Kingdom qualified over Australia, as we mentioned. I think the UK played a really great series. We even get to see Benjamin Baker, a good old Muslim, to finish off the series. I think that was kind of cool.
Yeah. I thought all the series were really awesome.
Yeah.
We had
Better than
some
expected.
upsets in the games, and we had some rising performances from guys we know, like Jig, and then guys we don't know, like the entire Hungary
Very
team. So overall, a really fantastic day. Good start, NationWars.
Could you tell a favorite game maybe?
Favorite game.
There's been a lot of game at
Yeah.
the end.
Yeah.
But we should tell that Rotti has got all his predictions right.
We
The
should
No.
score.
just not
No?
mention that.
Let's not talk about
Okay,
that.
okay,
It didn't happen. No, Roddy, you're a god. Roddy, no, but
Well,
he got
he was
every prediction,
lucky.
every prediction, but with the actual score.
Yeah,
And that's
That's
impressive.
amazing.
That's
GG.
impressive. GG. I think that's the best result of the day, actually, when you think about it.
But we were happy to see some players we don't see usually, so it was a good
No.
day.
A good day of NationWars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope
exactly.
you enjoyed the games as we did.
Yeah.
And it was only the first day. It's gonna be 3 weeks of competition, and we're excited, right?
Yeah, of course. Super, super excited. We can talk about what's happening tomorrow, I guess.
So tomorrow, we have news here. So we should have started at 2 because we were expecting 4 games, but unfortunately Chile couldn't make it because of scheduling problem. So Ukraine, they qualified for the next round because Chile couldn't make it. So we only have 3 series tomorrow. So we have China, Croatia. So that thing needs to be changed. Right?
Yeah, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. So we have Finland and Czech Republic, and then Mexico vs Denmark. So tomorrow we're gonna start at 4 p.m.
All right. Okay. Because of Chile's disqualification, Ukraine will go straight to round 16, and we will start the show a little bit later, which I guess is not that bad considering we've had a long day and we need to rest, right?
Yeah, we do. I didn't really
Maybe
think
you
it
don't.
was... I mean, I'm fine. I'm so
You're
good.
always fine.
Yeah, of course.
You're
I didn't
so
realize
strong.
it was almost midnight, man. Oh, I thought we had hours and hours
Is
to
it?
go.
Is it?
Yeah, right?
Oh, okay. I didn't expect that. I thought it was like 10:30
see,
or
exactly.
something. You know?
It's StarCraft.
Yeah, well,
Hours just flew by.
Exactly.
So is there any series that you're really hyped about tomorrow? The China, Croatia, Finland?
I'm always hyped about China in general. I
Yeah,
think those players, and especially for instance like Max said, I haven't seen any games from him in a long time, and he's always been really good in NationWars. So it's good to see them play, and especially against Croatia, who last year was on the verge of eliminating Korea, or at least took 2 games out of him. So I think it sets up for a good NationWars.
They're missing their hero.
Yeah,
Pac
but
is not there.
You should have said it. We would have said it
Well,
tomorrow.
but it's still gonna be.
Now
a
everybody
nice
wants to see
series.
Tag. It's like, oh, okay, he's not here.
I mean, they also had the voting where, he wasn't there, but...
Yeah, he wasn't there.
So...
Yeah.
I didn't think that was a spoiler, but
people-
apparently I spoiled
Nah,
something.
it's okay. It's okay.
Okay, so thank you so much, Zombie Grab, Funka, and Rotterdam, who's right here somewhere.
He's sleeping, I think.
No,
he's celebrating
no.
his victory. He's
Yeah,
celebrating
of
his
course.
victory with the prediction.
So I hope you really enjoyed the games as we did today. And it was only day 1. So tomorrow we'll be back at 4 p.m. on the same site, same Twitch, same channel. So have a good evening. Thank you for watching and see you tomorrow at 4 on O Gaming for NationWars 5.